I forgot to put myself on screen. Hello, and welcome to Token Minority Report on Unsafe Space. I am your minority, Beverly J. Clark, and today is Thursday, September 1st, 2022. And last week, I forgot to say the date. That was the first time I ever forgot, I think. So in case anyone was wondering what the date was last week, it was August 25th. So just in case. Here with me tonight is my co-host, the lady who can find cures to any T-virus outbreaks, Alex Maselli.
Maybe? I don't know.
I believe in you. I think you can do it. How are you doing?
God, I'm crazy tired. Like, I just was like running around, and so I'm a little frazzled.
I feel that. I feel like every Thursday is when I'm like, everything just goes chaotic right beforehand. I'm like, oh, I've got the stream tonight, and then like everything happens at once before it. Is generally how my Thursdays go. I'm like, I swear, my life isn't usually this like dramatic. It just happens on Thursdays before streams. So I feel bad for you when I'm like, sorry, I'm late. I'm like, oh, like I'm frazzled. I'm usually discombobulated and everything too, but I'm like, I swear, I have it more put together sometimes otherwise. But I was telling Alex beforehand too that we just got Starlink, but it's not like it's called best effort because they told me that they are pushing it back till next I think it's like mid 2023, so another year from now is when they can actually get us Starlink. But they're like, but if you really are desperate and need the internet now, we can give you best effort where you're deprioritized. So if other people have it and they need it more, your internet's going to suck, but you get to pay the same price for worse internet. So I'm like, well, maybe it'll be better than what I have now anyway. So I just decided to try it out. It came in the mail today. My friend who is a boy, in case G-Man's around, hooked it up, and so testing it out. But if I disappear, just message me and let me know if I'm gone. If I can't hear you, I'll plug in the other internet. So tonight we're talking, what are we talking about? We're doing Resident Evil, the Sandman, and the Black Phone. And yeah, those three, right?
Yep, those three.
Okay. A lot of those. I was like, when I was trying to type the description in, I was like, how do I phrase this? Because I'm like, you have to write the Sandman, and I don't remember if maybe it's the Black Phone too.
It is the Black Phone.
So then, I forget how, like, whatever the description was when I was phrasing it, I was just like, oh, like that isn't, it's weird having it in right now, but I need to in the title. So then I just like rephrase the sentence because I'm like, I'm bothered by this. As someone who, I always hate like Batman where he's like, oh, he's the Batman.
Oh yeah, he is actually. But you know what's funny is that sharing it on Twitter though, I had to completely rewrite the message because it was too many words. Let me see what I wrote instead.
Yeah. And I'm saying this as someone whose username is always the dim side, and I really, the is important. So I'm a hypocrite when it comes to that, but.
Well, yeah, what did I say? It's, oh yeah, like you had, like, it's a very long description. This one says live, TMR, Resident Evil canceled, the Sandman Netflix, the Black Phone, join the dim side, and Alex Ball Games, 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern time. They'll discuss 3 recent bad adaptations. That's how short it is.
Oh, yeah. Even with like I never know, depending on what we're going to talk about too, like the title might be so long, and Token Minority Report is such a long, so many characters too. You can only have 100 characters in YouTube titles. So that's why I've been just doing TMR. I'm like, it doesn't matter. People will recognize it. It's fine. I'm like, I just need the character space. Okay. Well, actually, before we get into, we'll start with Resident Evil. Before we get into that, I wanted to also mention, what was it? Riverdale, real quick. Just a nice quick Riverdale season 6 update. I finished the season, and it was, I accidentally kind of like spoiled the end for myself, and I'm going to spoil it to everyone here. But I saw a part where it's like Jughead is he's the only one who remembers. It's like that was the line that I saw, and I'm like, no, oh no, that is like my least favorite ending for every. Like I think it's such a cop out in most everything where it's just like nobody remember. Even one person is a little bit better, but like only one person remembers out of all the crazy magic and stuff that was super cool, and they're not going to remember it. So I was preparing myself to be really mad about this ending, though, and I was going to hate it. But I ended up being more forgiving toward it because they didn't just like forget. It's a whole thing. A comet was coming down and going to kill them all and stuff too. So then magic happened. But it's too much to get into now. But I'm more forgiving for it because they didn't just like, oh, everyone forgot what happened. They went back in time and are now all living in like 1955 as if they existed in 1955 when I assume the comics were around that year then too. So then they're kind of dressed the way that they were in the original comics and that only Jughead remembers. And I'm like, okay, this is a more creative spin to it. And I'm actually intrigued to see where it's going to go because next season's the last season. So it was just like so prepared to hate it. I'm like, okay, I'll give you a chance. I'll see where this goes. Because I think it's fun to like bring it back to where it's like, oh yeah, the OG comics too.
Yeah, I loved the comics. I loved them. I thought, I read them in high school. I like
Really
wanted to collect them all, but
oh
they're not cheap. Like honestly, like especially if you are a high schooler with no job.
yeah. Yeah, I never got comics and stuff. I mean, I like graphic novels and different things now, but yeah, I never read Archie comics though. And I think anyone who really enjoyed it would dislike Riverdale.
Probably. It doesn't seem like it's like anywhere near what the Archie comics were. Like it's like tangentially related, essentially.
Which I think I'll come back to this later when we talk about Resident Evil. But yeah, reference Riverdale in that sense. Come on, Rumble. Rumble isn't working again. Rumble's so annoying at it. There's so many specific things that you have to do to set up the stream, and apparently I do it wrong like every other week, and so it's not even sorry people who would want to watch this on Rumble.
Well, now it'll just load up afterwards.
Take it, yeah. So it's just people who aren't there live. Whatever. It's so frustrating. But and then the other thing too, I just thought it was funny. What I did, the one short that I recorded about Alec Baldwin. I just wanted to bring up because it's a pop culture thing. What I thought, like, this is so ridiculous. So the whole Rust shooting happened, however long ago, where he at least as far as we know, it was an accident. And he shot and killed. I think 2 people were hit, but one died, and I think the other one was injured. I forget the names and what their titles were, producer or something, which is very sad.
Cinematographer or something?
Might have been cinematographer. Yeah. Which I'm really sorry to hear that. I think that's really awful. However, Alec Baldwin was like said something recently about how he's like, the Rust shooting has taken years off of my life, and I was like, really? It's gonna be about you right now? We're gonna talk like, oh, he's lost different movies, like in different roles and things because of this. Like, yeah, okay. You should expect consequences after you kill somebody, accident or not. Like stuff might happen where it's just like I don't know. So I just thought it was so narcissistic of him. So I'm like, I'm gonna make fun of this. And then I was like, this is probably gonna end up triggering some people. You're gonna have people who are gonna
Oh yeah, they were triggered all right.
Yeah.
And so like her name was Helena Hutchins, and she was a cinematographer from Ukraine. And the guy who got hurt was Joel Suzma. And I think he was the director on Rust, essentially.
Okay. I had also read that like people had other crew members had quit due to like things not being safe on set, and I thought that happened after the shooting. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense, but apparently it was before that happened. They just weren't handling things properly, and clearly not. Like I do think it's even the actor's responsibility to double check your weapon beforehand, but it's if other people aren't props people aren't doing things well either and double checking these things. Like, yeah, I'd be terrified. I also don't like the idea of just aiming toward any people. Like when I know like this is a workable gun, like that's I would not feel comfortable whether it's fake loaded or not. Even blankets are dangerous.
Yeah, exactly. I would think if the point is that you need to aim in a direction that crew members are in, then it shouldn't even be a fireable gun.
Right.
Just for safety precautions, it shouldn't be fireable. Like,
I mean, definitely check it at the very, very like. Why would he not check that? Like, there's not enough.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, I would just use a fake. And I was talking to someone before. They're like, well, like it might be hard to get like a realistic looking like fake. I'm like, this is Hollywood. They've got like millions of dollars. Like you can make. I think they made a replica of this gun. Like they could have made it where it was like you don't have to make it fireable.
Make one that like the cylinders don't move and don't like and are blocked. Like you can't put a weapon. You can't put anything in it, which means that it like and don't put a real firing pin on it or something. Like there's ways around this to make it something that looks realistic but internally cannot work. Like
like if you're gonna have to do it like where the camera is, I think I've heard that you can have automated stuff where like people get out of the way. If you have to aim it toward the camera, don't have people standing over there, or shoot it where you can film it just for clarity, film it where you can where you're aiming it and it's not actually at a person, though. You can have the cameras angled at a different, like it's okay, like it doesn't. I would be okay with like suspending my disbelief that like this doesn't look as like cool or realistic as long as no one dies on set, no one gets shot on set. Like it's not
I don't think a movie is worth people's lives.
Yeah,
I don't. Like, I'm sorry.
It's such a controversial opinion.
Yeah, I know. I enjoy movies. I like movies. I don't think it's something that we should be getting rid of. And I think that they should still do action and violence in them. But God, do not endanger the lives of the people on the set. That's my only thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's not worth it.
I mean, I know other accidents happen and stuff too. Oops. Other accidents happen outside of guns, but like that's why I'd be so terrified to do like dangerous, like, oh, you're up high on something that's going to explode or whatever. Like, no, thank you. Stunt double or just CG. I don't care how fake the CG is. We're gonna use that instead.
Well, how many stuntmen and women have died or become horrifically injured and we don't hear about it. Like they don't report about it like hardly ever, unless someone like Daniel Radcliffe's stunt double for the Harry Potter movies was severely injured with a lifelong paralysis.
Really?
Yeah, one of the gang members in Back to the Future 2 was run into, when they're in the future and they're on the hoverboards and everything. One of those people was run into a pillar, and that ended her career.
Oh my gosh.
I've talked about Paul W.S. Anderson and the fact that he got a stunt woman killed while filming one of the later Resident Evil movies. Like they don't it's ridiculous. Like I think one of the worst ones though is when a helicopter fell on someone and a child while they were filming. That one was particularly bad.
The girl from Poltergeist or something, was that? I don't know if that was the same one or a different one, or maybe she just died of the sickness. There was a girl.
The two girls from Poltergeist, the older one was murdered by her boyfriend.
Oh, wow.
That's Dominique Dunn's daughter. That's why he went on to do mystery true crime, hosting something like that. And then the younger one, while they were filming, I think it was Poltergeist 3, got appendicitis or something like that, and they didn't take her to the hospital or to the doctor, and she died.
So, okay. Jeez Louise.
So there's lots of crazy things.
Let's say hello to people in chat too, and then we'll get into Resident Evil. Hello JB, Bradley Forney, Raphael, Rib Rascal, Tom Hannock. She's here. Tree Goblin. Hi, Tree Goblin. Just saw him on JDA's stream earlier too, where he's said Carter. He super chatted and said Carter greater than symbol Beverly as I left.
That's funny.
Johnny Boy, Wallace Williams, Demon Slayer, Anony. Well, hello. Yeah, okay, so just so many people comments here about like these other people who got years or who got injured or died and stuff.
Awesome one.
JB, oh yeah, we were talking about Alec Baldwin. Yeah, that's what my joke was in the short that I did too. It was,
Yeah.
and not as many years as the person who shot and killed, but
Your shorts are so funny, by the way. When you
oh,
like,
thank
they
you.
always make me laugh.
They're few
I
and far
love
between.
this. I know I haven't had a chance to do any this week because I've been sick with allergies. Like it's been real bad. Like the
Yeah.
ragweed is like at peak right now in Arizona, so I'm like
Summer weather.
miserable. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm hopped up on Benadryl right now, and I prefer
Oh
not to
gosh.
take Benadryl.
Does that make you sleepy? Because I get a lot of bug bites, then I take it before bed because so I'm not scratching all night.
So, what at the beginning of the year, I went and saw an allergist and told him what I was on. I was like, I told him every morning I take a Claritin and Benadryl. He's like, you take Benadryl at night, and I was like, no, I take Benadryl in the morning. And he's like, and then you like go about your
Live
day,
your life.
and I'm like, yeah, I do. And he's like, whoa, and I was like, yeah, I can take two and not fall asleep.
Also a
And
heavy alcoholic, so
I don't know, like maybe it's because I've been doing it for like 20
your
years or
body
something.
adjusted. Yeah, maybe.
I can live on Benadryl without. I mean, I don't like it because it creates a brain fog, and that brain fog lasts quite a while. Like after you've taken it, and it wears off on the allergy side, the antihistamine effects. But sometimes it's the only thing that's gonna take out the problem, which sucks.
Yeah, that's rough. What were you saying about the shorts though? Sorry, I got off track.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was just like, yeah, I haven't been able to do one in a while, but I find my homophobic Spider-Man one kind of funny because people keep like some people thought that I was saying that the person who made the mod was homophobic and they were an asshole. And I'm like, no, I don't like. I'm an anti-censorship person. I think Nexus mods are assholes for banning that modder. Like, I don't think it's that big a deal. In fact, I would like a mod that lets me change all the flags to whatever the fuck I want. Like, let me make a mod that puts my face on every fucking flag. Like,
right.
I don't think it matters. But the problem is that like this idea that like, oh no, that's mean. It's like, is it mean? I don't think it's mean.
Does it affect only the player too, the way that mod
It's a single player game.
I don't understand. Like, yeah, then what? Like, I don't care if people want it to be like Nazi flags or something. They're like, if that's what you want, and especially like whatever reason, most people I think would just do it because like, oh, it's funny or whatever. But,
yeah, I know. There's a huge mod culture of creating mods just to make people laugh.
Yeah.
So like, I could see that one being one that people thought was funny.
And I think from what I read too, so that was in case people haven't seen the short or don't know it, it was that they changed the rainbow flag, pride flag, back to the USA flag. And then from what I read about it, though, he didn't even like manually do it. It just made it where like, oh, it takes you over to it was a foreign country, like a whatever Middle Eastern country that was already only the USA flag because they don't want pride flags around.
Almost every version of a video game that you download now has the other versions in it. So like for other countries, maybe not the language part of it, but all of the like if they had to change any little thing for you know, a specific region, it's already in the coding. So like literally a modder could just grab that code and bring it in, and it's not that hard from what I understand. So it's like the fact that they literally have a region section of the game that basically lets you remove the flag for countries where it's literally illegal to be gay. And it's like, it's not that big a deal for like, I think it's bad that Sony is all like, well, we still want to make money in these places, so we're gonna make a statement in Western society, but we're not gonna make a statement in like the Middle East where that statement would actually mean something. Like it means nothing here to say that you support pride, like except for that, like because they have no one's like charging them with crimes because homosexuality used to be illegal in a lot of Western countries and it's not anymore. So it's really ridiculous to act like like it's such a brave
Still a
thing
big
to,
deal, yeah.
yeah, to support homosexuality when it's a brave thing to support homosexuality in the Middle East, in a lot of
Mhm.
Asian countries. That's where it's brave. It's not brave here. There's nothing brave about it.
Okay, yeah, because it's pretty common that, like, if people are upset by it, then those people are the assholes. Like, everyone else is just like I mean, like, who really are homophobic, then, like, yeah, like, society is gonna call you out on that now because, like, we have moved, to a point that it's not that big of a deal. Um, but okay. Oh, okay, one last thing, video game-wise, been pretty addicted to Earth Defense Force, 5 well, it started with 4.1 and now it's 5, and, keep playing. It's such a fun game because I get to play just as the wing diver, so I'm flying around, I feel like a magical girl, and you're just shooting, like, giant ants and spiders and robots and aliens and things, so if you guys don't have that game, you should get it and then play with me.
Well, I'm very happy because I'm very bad at PvP. So anytime I have to play against other players, I'm fucking awful. I
Oh, yeah.
prefer
Yes.
in fighting and like
Other bad
AI
guys.
enemies,
Yeah,
like
mhm.
not other human beings. But Destiny 2 wants you to play all forms of its games, all the modes. And one
Oh.
of them is Crucible, where you're literally it's just head to head with other people. And I'm bad at it. I'm so bad at it. But they had a triumph they wanted people to complete last week, where you got 50 kills of other players with like your superpower, and I managed to get it done. And and I was like,
Nice.
wow, I actually did this. I mean, my trick was that I played as a hunter instead of a warlock, which is my main character class. But like, I was so happy, like, because I suck at PvP. Like, I'm never gonna say,
No.
oh, I'm great at it. No, I'm never I'm not a sweat. I'm not good at it.
I don't even know what that is. Yeah, no, I do not like playing against I like co-ops and then fighting against other bad guys. Awesome one, are you asking what game did that I said? It's Earth Defense Force, and there and multiple games. As soon as I played it too, I was asking like, "Is this a Japanese game?" Because I heard like the girl that was playing, she was like, "Oh, oh," as she jumped up there. I'm like, "That sounds like a Japan like a, like Zelda characters and stuff too, and they make sounds." And indeed it is. It is a Japanese game. Which brings us to Resident Evil.
Which is
Um,
an adaptation of a video
which
game series.
mhm, from Japan that I saw is called Biohazard in Japan, and so they couldn't get
Yes.
the rights when it came to America because there's I don't know if it was another game or I know that there was a band called Biohazard, and then there was something else where they were just like they couldn't secure the rights, so then they had some sort of like, a competition where like I think the employees of I don't know, I guess the company that made it like got to rename it to
Mhm.
something for Western. And I don't fully understand why Resident Evil was the winner of it, just because of like I've never played the video game, so like maybe it's
Okay,
totally different and like I don't
the
know the
first
location. Is it
one
in a hospital?
the first one is in a house. So the idea
Oh,
is
it's like
it's
a
a
residence.
residence.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, okay. And then an
And
evil
then
residence. So if it is a Japanese named thing for that, it might just be a translation thing.
yeah, well, and then like the seventh one, which is the only one I've played any of, is also in a house. Like after the first game, from what I understand, is that it went off the rails and way far away from houses. And which,
Okay.
given that the original
There's
name
only
of
an
the game is Biohazard, that somewhat makes sense. But
Yeah,
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 the seventh one actually takes place in a house again. But like that's why the first movie, the Paul W.S. Anderson movie, starts in a mansion and then goes to
yeah,
like an underground office
okay.
build complex. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I had never watched any Resident Evil, I've never played the games, so I went and watched the first 4 films, including the computer animated one, that was, like, the 4th one on it, and I just started the 5th one before we were coming onto the stream. Like, I might as well I'm gonna there are, like, 10 of them. So, it's like, I'll try and watch as many as I can just to get more context for this, and then watch the latest Netflix series. So I just briefly would wanna go through my notes on it. Let me see. Since I never played, I finally realized and learned that the Covfefe break clip that Carter made for the intro is from Resident Evil. Like when the coffee gets spilled, like that was the beginning of Resident Evil. And I'm like, whoa! And I think someone not too long like mentioned they thought it was from Office Space. I'm like, maybe, I don't know, I've never seen it.
No,
so as soon as I saw that, I was like, it's Resident Evil. Okay.
I saw the first 2 Resident Evil movies in theaters, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I did. I was in high school at the time, but I really enjoyed the first one. Like I don't know, it's a pretty good sci-fi horror film. Like it's not like amazing, but it's also not terrible. It's like enjoyable and entertaining.
I enjoyed it because I had no idea what the plots would be for any of it though too. I didn't know what like the genre was. I guess I hadn't thought about it, but I probably would have assumed it was like something more like supernatural. So when it was more about zombies, I was like, okay, cool. Like I love zombie stuff. So, and that's essentially what they were becoming.
Yeah.
So I went in blind and had no idea what it was going to be about. But I also saw the twist immediately in the first movie where like her fake husband, so Alice and then whatever the guy's name, so that they're going through the whole thing at the office underground and trying to get out. But she kept having like some memory flashbacks and thinking like, am I the bad guy? Am I the baddie here? Like, and then in the end, it ends up being the fake husband who had seemed good all the time. But like right early on, I was like, he's gonna have to be it. Like he's gonna need to. The twist will be with him. But yeah, but I enjoyed it. I thought that was a fun film. The second one, which one was it the second or third one?
Apocalypse is the second one. They're not numbered.
Names. I know, that's why it's hard. Like I know that there's like Extinction, Afterlife, but I don't know the names of.
Okay. So this is the order: Resident Evil, Apocalypse, Extinction, Afterlife, Retribution, the final chapter. That's the order.
There are more. I have like 10 movies from it though. So there are other, I don't know
those
what.
Those are those
the ones main
the Alice ones. The Paul W.
The other ones are all. Yeah, the one that was the computer animated one. Well, I'll get into that, but I don't remember.
I've not watched that one.
If it was the second or third one. But I just remember Alice was like going through and she like shot, I think she had a crossbow or something. And so she shot a zombie and pierced it against a gas station wall. And then so she went about her business. And I was like, take your bolt back. It's dead. You don't have unlimited ammo. Like that's probably precious. Like go grab it. In D&D, I'm really loose about that. Like I don't mind where I'm like, I just like, I assume that you bothered to like after the battle, you pick up your arrows. So like, I don't care. But like people who play like more realistically, like you have to say that you grab it. You have to like try. Sometimes they get broken or whatever. And like, if you're trying to survive there, grab those bolts or arrows if that is your weapon. And
I'm playing the Evil Within right now, and I have a harpoon crossbow bolt thing. I don't know what it's called, but like, and they have harpoon bolts, so they're just regular bolts. There are fancy bolts too, ones that explode, ones that flashbang, all that shit. And I fire the regular harpoon ones, and I can't fucking pick them back up afterwards. And I'm like, that's bullshit.
Oh, that's annoying. Because at least you're trying.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna blend the second and third movies together though, because I can't remember. But which one had? Oh wait, no, second one had Valentine in it. So I think so. The third, I'm thinking of the third one when she has the bolt. I think the second one had that cop named Valentine who was one of the playable characters. Yes, and I did like very limited research on some of the character stuff too. But so, and now that movie's coming back to me. I don't think I had a lot to say about the second one. It was fun, but I don't think I really even took notes. I
kind of didn't like the cinematography in the second movie. That was my, like, I felt like they were like, they bored me with how they filmed the fights.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm really,
so
when it's like
kind of
2000, early 2000s, I'm like, I don't have expectations for like cinema, anything looking until like 2008-ish, maybe. And then I'm like, I don't have expectations of things looking good. So I'm just...
Really? I mean, Matrix was 1999 and that cinematography in that movie was great.
I can't remember if I've seen The Matrix. That might be a movie that I have seen scenes from it.
tragedy.
I can't remember if I've watched that. We've got the Discord channel that where's all these movies that I need to watch, but but right now I'm in a marathon of Resident Evil movies, so I can't watch everything, Alex. None of these even matter after, but I am going to watch. I have the movies. I'm gonna watch them. So Resident Evil 3 had I just did the racist or the okay symbol, the white supremacy symbol. That's my half white side speaking out. The Resident Evil 3 had Claire, right? That was the other playable character.
Yep.
In it, who was played by I think her name's Allie Larder, who played Brooke in Legally Blonde, is how I know her.
I used to really be big fan of Allie Larder.
I don't know.
I've seen a lot of her movies.
She's in The Rookie. I think she plays she's briefly the girlfriend of Nathan Fillion in The Rookie, but I think that's her in it. But I haven't seen a ton. I like her every time I see her, but I just haven't seen her a lot.
I was a big fan of the Final Destination movies, and she's in the first.
I haven't seen those either.
And then she's also in Heroes.
That's a show I only watched like an episode or two.
I watched the first season and absolutely loved it, and the second season sucked, and the show just kept getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
It was just like, oh my god, this is just so bad. I can't keep watching this. But I literally gave up at a point.
What's something Panabaker or something or no.
Danielle Panabaker.
Yeah.
That's
What'd you say?
Yeah. I did. You're talking about Danielle Panabaker?
I think so, yeah. And I just knew her when she was like a child actress, and so I kind of and I've seen her in other things, but like I remember that was the only draw to me. I'm like, oh, I know her, so I almost watched the show, but then didn't. And
who asked that question? JB. Michelle Rodriguez is in the first Resident Evil and the fourth Resident Evil.
She's gonna come back. Oh, I think I sort of read about how she comes back. She definitely died in the first one. So I mean, clones happen though, so never mind. It's not like it's going to be a super shocker.
Resident Evil thing.
Yeah, that's just
don't be surprised by that.
And then so the fourth one that I saw was the animated film, and I was pretty excited because I was like, I recognize a lot of these voice actors from like anime. Like Dave Wittenberg had a little part, and he's in Naruto. Laura Bailey, I love her, so she does like a bunch of stuff. She does a lot more video games now too, but she's well known in the anime world as well. But then and there are other ones too, but I was just like, I hear you. So I was pretty excited about that. That movie was interesting because they just had Claire as the main character, and then they had Leon, whatever, who is the male playable character or something in the games.
So the big characters in the games are Jill, Chris, and Claire. Right? Yeah, Jill Valentine, Chris and Claire Redfield.
Chris isn't in the first three movies, right? Okay.
No,
I think I read that he joins.
He's in the fourth one. He's played by Wentworth Miller. And then Leon and Ada Wong, who I don't think she's actually playable, but everybody fucking loves Ada Wong.
Oh, and I remember, I think that name in the new Netflix series at the end, but we'll get into that later.
And also the tofu agent, as far as I know. Like, that's a joke, by the way.
Sounds racist.
It's not. What it is that if you beat the first game, I think this is how it works. If you beat the first game, you can play through the game again as a piece of tofu.
That sounds amazing. But I still think that's misappropriation, like to misappropriate tofu.
Well, aren't they Japanese? So like the game's made by Japanese people, so they can make their own. Like it would be like if Americans did a French fry for their
French.
The French don't eat French fries. They were literally called German fries. We changed the name of them.
Was it German? Oh, okay. I don't remember where it was. Why did they switch?
Who eats more potatoes, the Germans or the French?
Yeah, we should call them Idaho fries.
Idaho fries, yes.
And what? Or Ireland? Ireland's big in potatoes too. If we're gonna do other countries, right?
Although all potatoes are from South America, they're not from Europe.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Oh. That's upsetting to hear that, like, my whole world has just been shattered. It's like we need to end the stream early. I need to go lie down. I don't know what's coming to this world now. Um, but,
Sorry, I'm a french fry aficionado, so I know all this shit about
no,
potatoes.
very excited about that. Do you know how to make, au gratin potatoes and the
I do.
scallop potatoes? I don't think I've ever made any from scratch, but I love them.
I really like just
What I was
good
thinking,
baked
gee.
potato or french fries. Like,
We'll do, like, potato wedges and, like, seasoned and stuff too occasionally. We don't do potatoes, whoops, a lot.
I have to, if I make if I want potato wedges, I have to make them at home. I can't because they're coated in flour if you buy them, so I
Oh,
have to.
yeah. Yeah, we usually just do from scratch. Like, I used to do, like, the bagged mashed potatoes and stuff too, and then I realized making mashed potatoes from scratch is, like, super easy. I just
Yeah,
do
it's
that
not hard.
o
Oh my
on
god,
demand.
I went through this phase in high school where I made mashed potatoes every fucking day, and that's what I ate for breakfast, lunch, and dinner with with cheddar on it and stuff. But
Yeah,
I
cheesy,
like
buttery.
I don't know why. I would make it, put it like eat some, put it in the fridge, eat it again later. Like it was just like this endless thing of having potatoes. And
No
then like
judgment here.
for meals, sometimes I would literally buy frozen fries and tater tots and like just make a big cookie sheet of one of those. And that was my meal. Like a very,
Yeah.
very weird potato eating habits.
No, I respect it. I like them a lot.
G-Man asks who makes the best fries.
Oh, probably
Ooh,
JB. He just says he's a retired chef, so but
maybe, yeah. I don't know.
it
I
could be
haven't had
scalloped
his.
potatoes if you do fries.
Um,
I really like I don't like fries a ton. I mean, generally, I'm just not a big fry person. I like potatoes in other ways, but I do like as far as fast food fries go, I like Burger King's fries the best.
they're fine. They're good. I like them. I can't have McDonald's French fries because they're coated in like wheat.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
but I really like Wendy's. Wendy's is good. But like, there's so many different ways of making French fries. There's shoestring fries, which that's Freddy's frozen custards. They make the best one.
You really
And
are
then
a potato fries
yes, I
aficionado.
am. And then waffle fries, Chick-fil-A, without a doubt, Chick-fil-A
Oh, the
nails those.
sauce too.
Yeah, and then I can't have the sauce. But then
Oh, yeah, that's so sad. That's the saddest
steak
thing I've ever
fries,
heard.
I know. Steak fries, it's got to be Red Robin. And they do their bottomless fries. Um
Oh,
But yeah,
I've never
I
been.
really, really like French fries.
That's so funny that I did not know this about you. Last week I learned more stuff about your family, and then this week I'm learning about your fries.
Well, see, that's
Uh,
the thing is that when I went on this diet, this restrictive diet, if they had told me that potatoes were on the no-go list, I would have been just like, it's not worth living anymore.
yeah.
Like, 'cause you have no idea how much I love potatoes. It's pretty insane.
You're still okay to eat them?
Still
That
okay to eat
they're fine?
them.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, that would be tough. I would just if it didn't like I've said before too, like, if it didn't kill me, like, then I would still, like, at least occasionally, like, I'm gonna do it. Ta take it. Alex has put 4 Red Robins out of business eating their bottomless fries. Just leave it.
I do. Their burgers are good too, though. Actually, like I do like
Jack in the
eating a Red
Box.
Robin.
I've not had Jack in the Box. I remember their cheesecake, but we don't have any out here. All right.
We need to stop talking about food. I'm
I
getting hungry.
know, hungry. I know that's a I used to always joke, kind of more seriously though too, is like I don't eat like salads as meals. Like salads are not meals. They're like as a side only. Who orders them? But then when I started like eating healthier and stuff too, like no, it's just easy. I can eat a bunch of lettuce and stuff and vegetables, and it's you're getting full enough. And then I just have a lot of protein in different ways. But I'm like my old past me would be so disappointed in present me.
I love salads. I do. I like. I think that's the only thing I can have at Panera, actually. But I have to take like half the
And
things they
be
put on there off, and like just say olive oil and lemon juice for the friggin' dressing, because none of their dressings can I have either.
Oh,
So
right,
I'm like,
yeah.
That's the one hard thing about me going out to eat for salads is that I have to literally bring my own dressing or hope that they have olive oil.
Yeah. Well, at least you are able to eat out at certain places, like, and find places that work for you, so.
Yes, that's true.
All right, enough about food. I'm gonna
Yes, no
need to
more
eat
food.
everything in the kitchen after this show.
Yeah.
Resident Evil Netflix series that just came out. I, again, am probably going to be the only person ever where I was like, "It was okay." I thought it was fine, but I like zombie stuff, but I think, again, it comes from I don't have an attachment to any of the previous characters or really much not even watching the previous movies, it was kind of like, "Oh, it all happened so fast." It's not something that's, like, been, like, kind of ingrained. I'm not as emotionally invested in the characters and changes in it. So I actually liked it alright. I had issues, but, like, overall, I was just kind of like, "It's a zombie show." Like, I'm okay with it.
I I didn't like it, and if the two thumbs down wasn't clear, but
Yeah.
the one of the reasons why is that like first like I was a little I wanted it to start like a like resident I wanted it to start in a house. I really did. I did because I feel like that was more in the thematic tone of
Sure, I agree with
Resident
I
Evil. But when it got to the like after a certain point, I was like, stop showing these teenagers. I don't fucking care. Just go back to the post-apocalyptic world.
Oh,
And
I was actually kind of interested in how it happened. I like seeing, like, how did it go down?
but then by
Uh,
the like fourth or fifth episode, I think I was all like, oh my god, adult Jade is like a cursed being. Everywhere she goes, everything goes wrong, and
Everything is
everybody
terrible.
dies. And she's got this
Sh
insane plot armor. I was getting annoyed with her.
but then she also makes bad choices too, and so, like, that she kinda causes some of the problems herself. Not all of it, but, like, the part toward the end, like, where she brought the zombie aboard the ship, and then, like, her best friend gets killed because I'm like, "Yeah, that is on you, like, that is your fault," and then her sister even comments throughout, like, the past and current where it was just like, that it's always about Jade, like, she thinks about herself and blah, blah, and I'm like, "Yeah," like, so it is a character flaw written in that they acknowledge it, but it was just like, this is making you not very likable as a character.
Like the ones that are her fault are more interesting from a narrative and character
Sure.
perspective, but the
Mhm.
fact that like half of them happen just because shit follows her
It's like
around.
and it's like, the others, Walking Dead, where it was just kind of like, okay, that the next human location that they go to, they're gonna be bad people, whether they, like, start off bad or they seem good, like, it's the same thing over and over. It's like zombies are bad, humans are worse, and even because they pretend to not be bad, at least zombies are already bad, and so it was just kind of like, yeah, um, so I guess, like, in the apocalypse, you kind of, people show their worst colors a lot. "Ooh, hello, I don't even think we'd said anything sexy. We're already getting some sex spam and shit."
Well, the thing is too is that like I'm okay like I'm not okay with the idea that shit follows her around like that. To me that feels like it's forced, like it's like
Sure. Yeah.
narratively contrite in that regard. But then, like, when her sister Billy is saying to her in the last episode, you ever notice that people around you always die? And I'm like, yeah, I did notice that. What the hell is going
She's got a influence from Jessica Fletcher of Murder, She Wrote.
on?
The same
Well,
thing
yeah,
happened to
that's
her.
really well. And then like, and then she's like, it's always the fucking Jade show, and it's like, yeah, Jade is also very like selfish and like stupid at times, and it frustrated me because it's like there's not enough redeeming qualities. Like I don't like her enough,
Uh-huh.
especially young Jade. Young Jade is especially
Yeah, I think the only redeeming thing was that she care about her sister, like, even though she did selfish things, like, you could see that, like, yeah, she did wanna protect her sister a lot and do things, but it might not be in the best, and then I was like, "Oh, they're only 14 too." I thought they were gonna be, like, 16 or something, like, 14 is just also, like, it's maybe like, "Okay, you're young and gonna be obnoxious." But, oh, tree surgeon. The Walking Dead stayed pretty compelling through 5 seasons. Yes, it was in the season 6 after Glenn died. I was like, that was the last episode I watched. I'm like, if he's gone, I'm done with this. And then everything was like getting repetitive.
Spoilers, man.
Oh my gosh, you've never done any spoilers on this show before. I'm pretty sure we've already talked about this on a previous episode.
I've not watched
Oh,
it.
no, I think we talked about this before too, though, on a previous episode.
But it's not that big a deal. But
it's
I don't care.
In the comics.
Like, I
it was
needed out after one season.
Oh yeah.
So
then when it doesn't matter, yeah, because I never read the comics, but like I read about it and how like his death was significant in the rest of the story, though, like how things played out. So I could see like, okay, why it was from the writing why, but when I'm like, he was the only one that I really liked. So once he was gone, I was just like, nope, I'm outie. And he was just in Nope. And that accidentally.
Yes, he was. But I when it comes to Resident Evil the TV show, I noticed this thing they started doing where they acted like they would end an episode where they're like, we just revealed this insane information that was counter to what you thought. And then like everybody acts like it's not that big a deal in the next episode. And I was like, stop doing that. Like, she's like, my sister is dead. And it's like, oh no, her sister's not really dead. And I'm like, but she actually knew that. Like, and so I'm sort of like, what?
I knew it too.
And I was like, well, she didn't act like she knew it, but was saying essentially that my sister's dead to me. So I was like, that's not how she performed that line. And stuff like that. That kind of
they're just trying misdirect.
To, like, yeah, they're trying to like get a zing at the end of each episode, and it got kind of boring to me. I was like, okay, fine, and but and I think that like no, I didn't think anyone did a really good job on the show, like acting wise. Like I just did not feel like anyone was all that compelling.
Yeah, I don't know anyone's names, but the one who played adult Jade, I was when she was narrating over the beginning, I was just like, is she British? Because like it sounded like she either wasn't saying her R's enough, or she was saying too hard of R's and overcompensating. And then as soon as I saw her with her teeth, with her gap teeth, I was like, oh yeah, she's for sure British in real life, which reminds me of mind the gap now as a phrase in British. I wonder if that's related.
I kept laughing and like getting distracted by that actress, because I was like, why does she look so much like Michael Jackson?
I didn't just think about that.
It hit me constantly. Like I was like, God, she looks like Michael Jackson, like before he went white, essentially.
Really before white, BW. Yeah, I'm trying to think. No, the only actor I liked, the dad. I actually really enjoyed
everybody likes Lance Reddick. He's awesome.
Yeah,
I mean, he is.
I can't remember what I know him. I know I've seen him, but I just can't place of other things that I've watched him in. But like I thought, and when he was playing different characters too, I'm like, oh yeah, like you've got some range here.
He does. He was in Fringe. That was like one of his big roles, was Fringe, and he was on Lost, obviously. Oh, he was a character on Lost.
Who is he in Lost?
He's this mysterious guy that shows up every once in a while. And the funny thing is about him is that like they built up his character as this great mystery, and he's so cool and everything, and then he died like an absolute pussy, like by getting shot while putting luggage in the trunk of a car.
I don't remember much. I mean, I watched all of it, but like I don't remember much at all. But that must be how I vaguely have memories of him from Lost. Then why do they always kill people off in the lamest way? Like I talked about Sabrina, Supernatural, like all of that. Like at least if you're going to be a cool or main character, have a cool death. But Lost, I don't believe that they knew where they were going with stuff. People argue about like, well, no, they had. I'm like, no. You could tell.
I think they had an idea for the main answers, but like a lot of the other smaller sub mysteries that they had, they did not know, because they gave 2 answers to what the whispering was on the island.
They didn't even. Oh wait, what was the answers in it?
The answers were that it was the others, and that it was also the ghosts. And it's like, you can't have it be both.
Mhm.
Like, and I know that when they gave the second answer, it's just because they fucking forgot.
Yeah, yeah, that they threw in so many different things, it just seemed like you didn't have enough plan even, like, the big plans that maybe they did have in the end, it just wasn't executed well that I thought, like, "Oh, this feels, like, complete, this, like, answered this the questions throughout the series enough for me that I feel like, I've got, closure," and it's just like and I know a lot of people are upset by it
Well,
too.
like, one of the things they said is that if the baby wasn't raised by Claire, that the baby would be like evil or something. And the baby wasn't raised by Claire, and Claire lost her fucking mind. So and we didn't get no payoff for that. So like,
Mhm.
Lost is a mess. It's like, watch the first season, watch the last few episodes of the last season, and that's the real story. And you don't have to watch any more of it. Like, honestly,
Yeah.
once they, like, to be fair, the writer's strike happened in the middle of that
Oh,
show's
that's
run.
right. Yeah.
So that threw them all off their stride. But I don't think J.J. Abrams is actually that amazing of a writer. Like,
Mhm.
honestly, I mean, he's really good at setting up a mystery, but then the payoff, he fucking fails like most of the time. It's really shitty
Yeah.
because he did the same thing on Fringe.
Okay, I haven't seen Fringe, but and who's the other guy? Is it Stephen Moffat who did Doctor who took over for Doctor Who? Whoever the
Doctor,
second
yeah, that
who
is.
where I was like, there were cool concepts that just in the end they didn't execute well. Like, oh, like the initial idea was super neat, and then it was just like, oh, this is where you went with that in the end. Like that's disappointing. So a lot of times they just don't get executed well. But back to
Resident
Resident
Evil.
Evil. Um, I forgot that. I guess this is related and it'll be Riverdale, and I'll say that I forgot to mention this last week when you brought up Elementary. I don't always like, sometimes sometimes I hate when, they take characters so loosely, and then especially when I have an attachment to him. So, like, I never watched Elementary because that was the Sherlock Holmes one, right, where Watson is an Asian woman, if I recall
Oh,
correctly?
Elementary, yeah.
Yeah, so I
It's
was just
Lucy Liu.
oh, right, right, and so, like, I never watched it because I was like, "If you're gonna just change the characters like that and, like, and whatever, like, because like, the story is gonna need to change too," I'm like, "Just use different characters." So I just on that alone, I was like, I love detective and mystery shows, but I just never bothered watching Elementary because I was like,
Elementary, I
I'm
liked. Sherlock, I hated. But Elementary, for the most part, is very good mystery. And I'm sorry, but I think Johnny Lee Miller is the best modern Sherlock Holmes.
is
Like,
that's who is an element I
that's the
don't have an
star of
opinion on it.
Elementary.
'Cause I
Um,
feel like I should give it a chance just to see, but like I said, it's just like, I think similarly, like, with Riverdale and Archie comics, like, you have an attachment to, like, these are the characters that I know, and so then when it's, like, changed, like, that's why if I loved Archie, I would probably dislike Riverdale, but, and so same with Resident Evil, where it's like, if I had more of an attachment to the war universe and stuff too, I might hate, the new one more, but I was also kind of okay because it seemed like it expanded on the world because it was set in like 2022 and 2036. And at first they ended up you I had to look it up though, but they ended up using like what was his name, Albert Wesker was the dad, and then I didn't realize that that was an actual character in the video games and movies. um but it was like I'm more okay with like we're just gonna take the world and then make our own like story in it. I think, and to me, I would since I didn't really recognize names and stuff, that's kind of how I saw it. So I think that maybe that's why I liked it more than I think everyone else did because I was just like coming into like a zombie series, like okay,
I didn't really like anyone. That was my problem. I didn't like anybody. And I felt like they kept setting up those zingers of narration that I
mm.
felt fell flat.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um,
No, I agree with what you're saying. You've said so.
yeah.
Your criticisms of it, like I definitely agree with those things.
Well, but I don't necessarily like. I didn't play the video games. Like I said, I've only played Resident Evil 7 for 2 hours for
Which
like
one?
a horror special I did.
The one that you told me to get, the death what is it? By Dawn or something? Is that Resident
Dead
Evil?
by Daylight. No,
Dead
it's
by Daylight. I
Dead
thought
by
it said
Daylight.
Resident Evil.
Dead by Daylight uses characters from other franchises. They
Oh,
license them.
Because when I
So
was
like,
looking something on Steam, it like had Resident Evil with it. I was like, why is it saying that?
just because they think you would probably want both.
It knows that I've been watching a lot of Resident Evil.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, I didn't like my like early experience is the Paul W.S. Anderson movies uh for Resident Evil. But this, like, it didn't grab me at all. I had to turn up the speed on the the player so
You
that I
get
could
that.
get through
I
it.
was interested in I guess I was curious to see, like, how the fallout happens, and so, like, and that was what I was waiting for too, like, when they were kids, though, I'm like, "Okay, like, just sh like, I wanna
Did
get to the
we
point."
see how the apocalypse happened in
Nope,
this?
that's what
Nope.
and that's why I'm kind
Yeah.
of disappointed in that, like, it got canceled or because I was just like, I wanted to see it. I wanted to see the moment of, like, where it all goes down, and I was hoping that they'd get to it in season 1, and they did not. Um,
Well, and then there was one point where the show had me, and that was when in the final episode. This is spoilers. Final episode when Billy bites Simon, and Simon's mother shows up. Simon's mother is a bad
one of
guy.
Simon's mothers.
Is yet one of her mother, one of his mothers, and like there's that thing about she's angry. She's clearly livid because she knows her son's been bitten. And I was like, what is she? And I was like, sure, she was going to shoot Billy. Absolutely certain that's what was coming. Because they also said Billy was dead. Like, so I thought, well,
Mhm.
maybe someone shot Billy and then like somehow Billy, came back from the dead. It's fucking Resident Evil. It could totally happen. But anyway,
True, oh, yeah.
so and then she doesn't shoot Billy, but she does shoot Simon in the head. And
Mhm.
that was the only moment in the whole show that I felt like, holy shit, you just did something because you surprised me.
Right, yeah, yeah, I knew, I'm like, "Oh, yeah, like, the sister is gonna be alive," and it wasn't surprised that, like, oh, they did kind of that lame twist as an adult where, it was she's like, "Oh, she's the bad guy," and then when she's there, she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna set you free, Jade, like, I'm sorry, I made the wrong choice," and then later on, it was like, "Oh, it was a trick." She actually wanted for
Which
some reason, I don't
seemed
see.
obvious
Yeah, yeah,
to
so that was
anyone with a
obvious.
brain.
And I'm like, "Oh, shocker that she ended up," and then she's the true bad guy. But because it was obvious in that, like, there was no emotional buildup to it though too, it was just, like, they kinda talked about, like, "Oh, no, she's dead, actually, she's alive," and, like, she's a bad guy." Oh, I will say the other character outside of the dad, Albert Wesker, was what was his name? Baxter in the first 4 episodes. He was an awful character, like, the large white man who was chasing after Jade, but he was sassy, and I thought he was just, like, really fun.
Actually, you're right. He was compelling and interesting. He held my attention, and then I was like, "Oh, he's dead."
I kept waiting. At first, I was just like, "Why isn't he dead yet? How does he keep surviving? Like, how does he do?" And then he got that one actiony scene in when they were trying to escape that brotherhood or whatever, and it was like a one shot of him just, like, going through and fighting these zombies and shooting them, and it was just a one camera shot of him, like, going down the hall and stuff, and I thought, like, this is n I thought that was the only compelling time that it was filmed where I was, like, intrigued by it, and that character too, where he was just, like he's, like, psychotic, but, like, fun and, terrible, and I wanted him to die at first, and then later I was like, "No, you're cool," and then I was sad when he did die, and,
Yeah. I was
uh
sad for losing a compelling character, for
yeah.
losing
Oh, yeah,
someone
yeah.
interesting. Like I was like, damn it. Like, because that's the thing. Anyone who comes near Jade is gonna get killed or
I
eaten.
know,
Like,
yeah.
it's like, unfortunately.
Legitimately, even that guy that, like, arbitrarily drove in when she was stuck at whatever that other compound was though too, and he
Mhm.
just I don't even know what his story was, like, why was he driving in there, and he just went to help her, and then they got out of the car, and he just gets killed, like, immediately. Like, he was only in it for, like, 2 minutes, and it seemed like, "Oh, he's
Mhm.
gonna join and become part of her team or something." Nope, alright, she just takes his car, and we never hear from him again
I
about
think
him.
it's the third point where everything goes wrong around Jade that I kind of go, and it's not her fault necessarily. And I'm like, Wow, like I feel like you're being kind of like contrived here on building up like an action sequence, and she's constantly on the move everywhere.
Mhm.
She just leaves this wake of destruction
I know,
behind
right?
her.
She's the I think if the show continued on, you'd find out she was really, like, the unintentional bad guy that they had set up, though, too, that, like, she just, like, something about her causes problems everywhere to destroy the world, and she just has no
Mhm.
idea.
Yeah, it does
Oh,
feel that way because I mean, I get it that they're trying to include a bunch of action sequences and everything, but at the same
but then
time,
when
it's
it's just
just
to one person, it's like, "This is a lot." Like, maybe have
yeah,
anyone else kind of be a who keep them around where they don't die so you can kinda split it up a bit and, like, where
yeah.
it's not just one thing happening, it's or terrible things happening to one person. I'm not sure what Wallace Williams says when you know Beverly's type now about, like, the
I
is it
think
about
she,
Baxter?
yeah, that's what I mean.
I have mentioned before as far as, like, intriguing character like the psychopaths and things where I'm like, in, Clockwork Orange, Alex, where he's, like, "Oh, yeah, I'm intrigued by him." Joker, that film too, like, there's something
Oh,
about,
that's
like,
such a good movie.
psychopaths where I'm just like, "Alright,
I
yeah, I'm
love
interested."
Joker. That is a really good movie. Like,
Yeah.
it's hard to watch, but it's very good.
I didn't know
Um,
I was worried. I had one friend who liked it and said he thought I'd really enjoy it, and then a lot of other people but then, looking back now, like, they're woke people, and so then, like, they either had heard that it was gonna be bad or just thought it was bad and stuff too, and so I went in thinking, like, "Oh, I might hate it," but then, uh, and yeah, I thought it was really, really great, though.
I think it was beautiful. They won Best Oscar for it won an Oscar for Best Music, like screen original score, and the music was amazing. Like it was so good, and he won an Oscar for his performance, and it was deserved.
Yeah,
Like he
yeah.
was that like those were the two things that stood out to me as being like really peak. But overall, it's a very good movie with a lot of thematic work, very subtle thematic work. I've talked about this before, but there's a couple of points in the movie where he walks downstairs into light. And then a lot of people have pointed out the fact that the
Mm.
clocks always say the same time. There's a lot of going
Oh.
on in that movie, like a lot of like artistry in like
Yeah.
deep details and ideas. That it's very well done.
Um Yeah, maybe at some point we can just go into more detail, do that just as
I
in
need to
not
watch
a
it
current
again
movie.
though.
Yeah, oh, yeah, absolutely. It's been so many years. Okay, hold up. I don't know what's going on in the chat right now, but I think,
They're all talking about
Rib
food.
Rascal said New York pizza is the best pizza in the world, and Wallace Williams says Chicago deep dish. No, I adamantly disagree with that. I'm sorry, Wallace, but we only ever got deep dish when we had, like, guests come to town to visit, but because I was just like, I don't the crust is, like, so thick and crunchy, and I'm not interested, like, no, mm-mm. I love
I
stuffed
make
crust,
I make a homemade deep
not
dish
stuffed pizza.
pizza.
Yeah. Oh, pretty much anything else can be good, but but, like, when the crust is just, like, so hard, I'm like, "I don't know why people like this." But
Like
home deep
I
dish sounds
obviously make
good.
my pizza homemade because it has to be gluten free, and without garlic or onion. But I haven't made one in a long time. But
Us
it's
either.
basically a pie.
Um, yeah, well, pizza pie. And
Yeah.
I don't think I'm against no, because we've had other stuff. It's just, yeah, the way it was done in Chicago, I'm like, I'm just not interested in that. I'm sorry to all of those who do like it. G-Man says I'm a pizza masochist
Well,
for not liking.
the difference between the thing is though is that there's Northern Italian pizza and there's Sicilian pizza. Deep dish is a lot closer to what Sicilians eat for pizza, which is
Uh,
why I don't mind it. More Sicilians went to Chicago than New York.
is the one that when you make it, is the crust, does it get hard like on the back and bottom though? Like, is it like a European pie where you like a meat pie kind of? Because that's what the ones that I've had in Chicago, it just like, I don't mind if it's thick crust, but soft, and all the ones that I had in Chicago are always,
It's
like, just kinda hard.
they're not making it very well,
Yeah,
honestly.
I didn't think so either.
But yeah, like The edges on the top are always kind of crunchy, but like some crunch, some soft. Like it needs to have like a balance between the two. I also make pies, like actual pies, and it's like you want your like making pastry dough in for pies or for pizza is very like it's a thing. You have to know what you're doing, and
Mhm.
like I don't think that a lot of restaurants are very good at making pastry flour on it, like,
Yeah.
based food. Like, I'm sorry. I just don't think they're very good. We need to stop talking about food.
I know. Alright, we'll get back to Resident Evil. So, okay, some specific notes in the show. I was thinking in the future, in 2036, when Jade she's out in the middle of, like, the city has fallen, there's just this zombies that they call zeros. How come no one ever uses the term zombies? Like, you just like, the zombies exist, and you can see that this is happening. Um, they I was like, they still have, like, enough internet out here in the dead area of a city for video calls. Like, she calls her husband and her daughter for her daughter's birthday, and I was just like, "How? I thought this was like an apocalypse, and there's still and then I could see, like, okay, there's some things that are still together, but, like, you're in the middle of a dead city that there aren't people alive here. How do you have internet service to do or any, like, phone service to do a video call? I just
Is
did
there
not.
satellites still?
I I guess that maybe they had it like, it was not clear on that, and I was just really bothered, like, right off the bat that I'm like, I have trouble. I don't even we haven't even fallen into an apocalypse yet, and I don't have service, very good service out here, though. Like, I just in a city where no people are, I have trouble believing that they would keep up, like, any sort of satellites things.
So when I first watched that scene, I was like, and she goes, 3, 2, 1, happy birthday. I thought it was a recording of a conversation she'd had with them before, and that she was
Uh,
redoing it to like feel connected, and that's
oh,
not the case.
mm-mm.
And to me, I feel like that would have been narratively more interesting if they then revealed later on that it was no, that maybe those two are dead. Like
Dead?
that would have
Yeah,
been
yeah.
more interesting to me.
No,
But
instead
that's the
they
way
it
they
was like, okay, they're alive and they're not doing anything. The daughter's gonna have to be important somehow. Like, she's gonna have to be special. And she was. At the end, somehow she was able to control or like not be killed by the enormous
did.
crocodile zombie thing. So and it like got all friendly and sat down next to her, which did remind me because when I could just see like the eyelid, like it had like the third eyelid when it opened it up, and the other thing was and I'm like, this is what my geese look like too, and they're just like, oh, I'm gonna sit down and cuddle and sit next to you and fall asleep. Like, yep, that is what happens. So I'm like,
My
that's
thing,
realistic.
I had a serious question about how they set all that up. How did you capture it? How did you set up all that shit around it, including the thing in its head? Like, how did you do all that? And
Yeah, that would
then,
have been interesting to see.
yeah, and then now you gotta do it again because you used your shot, so you gotta do it again. But then, like on top of, and I'm not just talking about the work they did to the giant crocodile. I'm talking about all the like the controls to the crocodile. There was a lot involved in that. But then
Mhm.
uh, my other question was, why does the crocodile look pretty much exactly like a crocodile, except for a slight deformation on one side?
Just
Like,
enlarged, yeah.
mostly it looked like a crocodile, just really big. And I thought the CGI looked like shit. Honestly, I'll be fair.
Um
It did not look good to me.
Yeah, I have no idea, and then maybe they would've I don't know, I doubt they would have gotten into that too. It's just at some point they were able to capture this giant thing, but I don't know. So, back to the 2022 one in the past, I liked the dad, I thought he was good, and I didn't know Albert Wesker was in the games. I don't remember the name in the movies and
He's
stuff either, so
the
I had to
bad
look up
guy.
so he's yeah. So I didn't realize later on when he had all the clones, and then he's like, "Oh, you've got, like, the weird, like, the you got the regular nerd who's gonna be the dad, the other one, he was kinda, like, new because he's must have been younger and stuff too, and then the 3rd guy, there was yeah, but another nerd, and then you had, like, the OG one that came down and, like, the sunglasses and the black
That is
coat and stuff
Albert
too.
Wesker's outfit.
And with
Like,
that but I did not know that at the time of, like, that this character so I was like, "Why is there or did they dress him up like such a dork?" Like, he's supposed to be like this cool guy, like that they're trying too hard to make him look cool. So it's just like, yeah, look at me, I'm so tough, and I'm like, why? It seems so jarring to like everyone else's like dress in this series and then when I looked it up, I'm like,
Blade Wesker.
oh. Yeah, Blade Wesker. And I'm just like, okay, so that's what the character is supposed to in the game and in the movies too. And I'm watching him in the fourth movie now where I'm like, oh, okay, I see the relation to it. I'm like, why? But I'm like, yeah, it was so weird to see them like him dressed that way because I was like, why? Why would you be wearing this at all right now?
I
Like,
know.
so I
Like
thought it
when
was
I think it's the fourth movie when they introduce Wesker, maybe the third. I can't quite remember, but like it's kind of like he is the bad guy. Like there is no bigger bad guy than Albert Wesker, essentially. Like and he's hateable. Like people hate Albert Wesker. There's a scene in one of the video games where if you fuck up a quick time event, he literally does a flip over you while whistling and then kills you. Yeah, and the thing is though is that um God, that reminds me though the whistle sound that I just brought up. There was a Wilhelm scream in the show.
was there? Oh, was that when did that happen? Was that when they had to go get the guy or no, wait.
I can't quite remember when they did it, but
No,
I
I'm thinking of a different
remember
movie.
very specifically that there was a Wilhelm scream in one
Oh,
episode.
okay. I missed it. All right, we'll address this one here. G-Man says, "Did you guys know Wesker was white in the games? Weird." Okay, so I think I'm inconsistent with how I feel about things like this when they change stuff up. I mean, like even I'll say in Riverdale, Veronica is not she's white in the Archie comics, but she's Hispanic in the show. And I think I think it's when I don't have an attachment to the characters that I'm more okay with like, oh, whatever, they can change stuff up. But I remember being like annoyed when I think in Harry Potter there was like a live action play or something where they were like, oh, Hermione can be black. But I think what was bothersome about it was that J.K. Rowling was just like, I never established what she actually was. So yeah, like maybe in the book she actually was black. Even and people were like, you have a line here that says she's pale, like her pale skin, blah blah blah. And so like, no, she's clearly white. But oh wait.
Yeah, that's Albert Wesker. That's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
outfit essentially in the sunglasses that
Right.
Lance
Yeah. He's
wears.
got it's just a lot
It's
of
the
black. It's gonna be so hot in any
Yeah,
sort of
I
sunlight.
know. Well, the thing is, though, is that he's super powered for when he's wearing this. Usually, like he's
Oh,
already
okay.
been altered by the T virus and looks like this, and and like so. I don't think he cares about getting
Looking
cold
like a
or hot.
dork. Oh.
Yeah. Well,
Um
I mean, come on, it's a video game.
Right,
It's
yeah.
stupid.
That's what when you're having to compare it, like, okay, like when you bring in characters like superheroes or something like in a cartoon or whatever it is, like, yes, it'll look different in real life, but that's what so like I think especially because this version, Albert Wesker, like it was so loosely based on the other character, or they kind of had like the original ones. I think I'm okay with it, like, oh, his race has changed because it wasn't really the same one. That's why I think I'm more bothered, like, oh, if it were Hermione, sort of stage play I don't care about as much either. But like I'll use Little Mermaid. Little Mermaid as an example. I never bothered watching it. I was really bothered by the idea that like she was like a red hair, like she was like Ariel is known for being red haired, and so then they changed her and made her black. So I'm just like I don't like that change. Um,
So people are making jokes like pale black, like really pale. This is a black man
oh
who
yeah,
has albinoism, and he
hmm
plays Tobias Whale on the Black Lightning TV show. So that's immediately what I thought of. And I always thought it was kind of funny that they his name is literally Whale, but yeah, that's just what I thought of.
but yeah, so I don't know. I think it just depends for me on like how it was done and like how what the characters are based, like if it's really supposed to stick true to it or it's like really loose. G-Man says the showrunner said his Wesker was black because he's a clone, so it was cloned from a white guy, but I thought the one that we saw in the dorky outfit was the
The
OG.
original. Yeah, I
So
thought so too.
we'll
Um,
never know now.
Yeah, really. But yeah, I'd say that like they even did Lance Reddick's hair, like Wesker's hair, the shape of it
Mm-hmm.
and everything.
Mm-hmm.
When he's trying to be the OG Wesker or
Yeah.
whatever. But
Like, why
like
was everyone else bald?
I don't care that they race changed Wesker. Like I don't honestly. My problem with it actually is that Lance Reddick, as good as he is too old to play Albert Wesker. Like because Wesker is supposed to be a
Oh.
man in his prime, and I just felt like this was not great
Oh.
casting from that perspective. And also, what a
Hmm.
waste of Lance Reddick.
I didn't think about age because like he seemed pretty physical. But I can see that, yeah, again, I don't have any knowledge of what the original character of what, is, like, how old and stuff he's supposed to be, but
He's supposed to be like in his 30s and he's supposed to be like a
mm,
badass, like a
I thought he
literal
was
like
Lance Reddick was pretty badass in it. Uh, I Yeah, he was still I think he was still my favorite though, and as far as and Baxter. So I just thought they were more interesting. Because even when Wesker goes in, when Billy gets in trouble for something she didn't do, because I think it was Jade causing problems, but like goes into the school office and he just goes to the principal's office and he goes in and he's like, oh, and the other dad is threatening Billy and he's all like, what do you do for your work? And then he just goes on how like, so like a thousands of people could do your job. Only, I'm the only one that could do mine. Is that how he's just like doing this power
yeah,
move? I'm
that
like,
was
oh,
he did that scene was pretty good. I liked that scene. I thought that
yeah.
was very well done. And it also at the same time it showed that he did not that he cared enough about his kids that he was willing to pull that kind of shit to
Mhm.
protect them. That he had that kind of power at the same time
Mhm.
and that he was like dark enough to go there. And
Right.
so to me, I felt like that was a great characterization scene and it
Mhm.
did several things which I love scenes like that. Scenes should do multiple things.
Yeah,
They
I
should
thought
set up.
it conveyed a lot just in like the dialogue was cool too, just as far as him being kind of like, oh, you're sort of badass and just being like in just dialogue.
Yeah,
Um,
I liked it, but
mhm.
the gem moments in the show were like few and far between,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah, no, I can see that. The other thing another problem I had too was when Jade and Billy went in well, I'll say, one, I think we just need to admit that, like, everything things started really going downhill when because Billy is a vegan, okay?
Yeah.
They wanted to break in and save those rabbits, but, like, she wouldn't have
Yeah.
gotten bitten, she wouldn't have turned in like, all like, the zombies and stuff wouldn't have all happened if she just ate meat or non like, if not even just vegetarian too, she's vegan. So, I
Yeah,
think we can
oh
safely
god.
say that veganism causes zombie outbreaks.
Yes. And yeah, I think Carter made that joke. That made me laugh. But I made a joke when they announced the show because they showed a picture of everyone who's going to be on it and everything, and Lance Reddick was on the picture, and I zoomed in on his face. He was the only actor on the fucking promo shot that I recognized. By the way, that's a bad
Mm.
sign. They're
Mhm.
mostly hiring nobodies, and I zoom in, and I'm like, he looks like he wants to kill himself. Like he looks miserable. And so like I this is back before on my OG Twitter account, and I like wrote on him, like I zoomed in on him, and I wrote, please kill me. And like and then I sent that out, and like I think I mentioned that to Carter, and Carter said, well, he looks like that throughout the entire show.
I know Carter really disliked it because he's really into Resident I didn't know he made the same comments too, but he because he loved the movies. I think he played the games, I forget, but I know he's super into the movies, but, yeah, he did
I
not
think
like the series.
the last movie I've seen is Afterlife.
Mm.
And this was like it was really that's the one where they introduced clones and everything. Would you shut up? And my problem with it was that like suddenly it turned into Aliens, the second Alien movie, like where she's you I don't know if you've seen it yet or not.
Which one's Afterlife?
So
Oh,
it
no, it's the
goes.
4th one.
That's the fourth
I
one.
think I'm in
Yeah.
now. I'm just started it.
So like all of a sudden she wants to save a little girl, and it's almost exactly the scene from Aliens where Ripley is yelling,
Oh.
"She's still alive!" Like it's like holy shit, when did this become Aliens? Like
Uh-huh.
it's like really obvious if you know Aliens, and it's not good. It's not like they built it up or anything like they did in Aliens. So it was not great. And honestly, that might be why I quit because 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 they
Uh,
were aping Aliens.
okay. Well, I'm still gonna I've started it. I've committed. I need to watch the rest of it. I'm a completionist in this, so like
I will watch Retribution. It's on Netflix,
oh,
and I'm
yeah.
like, all right, I'll watch it. Although I keep trying to find time to watch the movie Glass, and I'm not
Oh,
finding the time.
I don't even know it. The other thing okay, so with the vegan thing, when they're trying to break into the lab to get the rabbits, I was like, "This is a fully automated building." With an Umbrella Corp, and it was that easy to break in for these 2 14-year-old girls to just use a recording of their dad's voice, and then they're like, "Yep, we've got f access inside this building now." I'm like, "Seriously?" Pretty sure
Well,
other things would have been happening by the if that's the case.
and then the more like serious, like in the last episode, the 14-year-old boy is able to break in using his
Oh,
phone.
yeah.
Like, it's like I know he's a hacker, but is he that good of a hacker? Like, how? Like, you know what? Umbrella Corporation does not have a problem with ethics. They have a problem with security.
Yeah. Yeah, right. But I was just like, serious and, like, maybe if they were able to just kind of add because he ended up being the son of the leader of it, where it's like, maybe he just was able to get like, more access, like, through codes or something that were found at home. Like, if they just kinda wrote in something else where it's like, "Yeah, I have an in," and that, like, but my mom doesn't know about it. Also, just wanna go in as far as, like, I don't care about, like, having 2 moms or whatever, but my thing is just as far as, like, if I were going to be a child or a parent in that situation, it seems really confusing to call them both mom. Like, I would wanna do, like, mom, mama, or, like, anything else, but when he's talking to one mom and saying, like, "What did you do to mom?" And, like, or he but you know that he called them both because he's addressed them both as mom, and directly, and I'm like, "That just" I don't know how they do it in real life, but that just seems really confusing to not be able to, like, differentiate that, like, I would choose different
I
terms.
know I know someone with two moms. She calls one of them mom and the other one by her name.
That's what I was wondering, like, would you go by name, or would that be less personal or something though too? Like, I don't know if you like, if you're growing up as a baby and wanting that so and I don't care what you call them, but I'm just saying that calling them both the same thing seems really confusing.
That reminds me, I watched this video where Alex Epstein and some other person named Alex were being interviewed about environmentalism and everything and fossil future and all that shit. And I was like laughing about it because the guy like talking to the two of them and said, Alex, whoever, allow Alex Epstein to finish. And then like and then I was like, next time you get these two, invite me on, and then it can be
Yeah,
even more
yeah.
confusing.
I like to intentionally do stuff too, like, let me make this even more complicated for, like, so in situations like that, I like to troll. I think I remember I taught, like, an improv class one day, like, improv class at some college that my aunt was teaching, and but then I couldn't it was like I think there were 2 girls named Crystal in the class or something, so I was just like, "Alright, I'm calling everyone Crystal now, like, you're all Crystal today."
I
Uh
was lucky as a teacher, I never had two students with the same name.
Wow. Ever? Like,
Yeah.
we had so many like, in my class, we had, like, Kayla's and Maggie's and Amanda's and what else? Katie's. There's just multiples. I my friend group, though, there was just Beverly, Jeanette, and Wednesday, and then I had another friend named Kayla, so she was the outlier, but the rest of us, only people with our names in the entire school.
I knew a lot of Alexes, most of them were male. All the female Alexes I knew actually were like Alexis or Alexandra.
Mhm.
And frankly, most of the male Alexes were like Alexander. I'm literally the only Alex I know. Like Alex is actually a nickname, but it's not my nickname. my name is literally Alex.
Right. Yeah.
So like I knew a lot of people who went by Alex, but like hardly anyone who
had the actual, just the name.
legally named
Like Alexander,
Alex.
yeah. Okay, so my last thoughts, then we can move on to the other topics 'cause we've gone on Resident Evil for a while. I guess along the lines of like Evelyn, I didn't know for sure if the mom, like the leader of the company was what if it was like, was she supposed to be based off of a game character? Because like it just seemed, and when I read it, she wasn't, but I kept wondering it because it was like she seemed like you were initially a male character that they just wanted that changed to a woman, and like, oh, we'll just make her gay,
You
and
mean
that way,
like
like they
Jerry
had
Hogarth?
that. What's that?
That's from Jerry Hogarth is a lawyer from Jessica Jones.
Oh,
Jerry
okay, yeah.
Hogarth in the
Jerry.
comic books is male, but Jerry
Yes, yes,
Hogarth,
that's exactly what I was thinking. I just I got the
yeah,
name though. Yeah, from yes, yeah, because that's
is
exactly who I
the
was thinking.
lesbian, yeah,
Who
Carrie
was
Ann Moss.
male.
I actually like Jerry
Me too. Yeah,
on the
yeah. No,
on Jessica Jones. I think she's an interesting character,
I
very
don't
well
mind that they
performed.
changed it. Yeah,
I
well,
don't
I never read
mind
the
it.
comics, but
Would you
yeah,
stop it?
it just made it seem that's why, like, I was thinking of her, and it made it seem like, was Evelyn initially a guy that they were just like, "Let's change it to a woman," but so it
That
just kinda had
reminds
that vibe.
me. Her name is Evelyn. Evelyn Waugh, the writer. His name is
Oh,
Evelyn because
boy named
Evelyn was
Sue.
originally a male name, by the way.
Mhm.
He married a woman named Evelyn. So for the longest time, when people referred to Evelyn Waugh and his wife Evelyn Waugh, they referred to them as she Evelyn and he Evelyn.
Oh. Hmm. But then what is a woman and, like, let's see, I don't
Yeah,
think
what
we
is
have
a
enough
woman?
of
We don't
it.
know.
Um And then the other, last things, they mentioned COVID a couple times, and I was just like, "Ugh, like,
I
why? Like,
know.
why bring that up there? Like, you don't need like, this virus is something like COVID? No, not like COVID. This is different." Like, "Oh,
When I don't want my entertainment to mention COVID, I'll be
all the time. I
perfectly
mean,
honest.
yeah, no, me too, and I've said that, like, I've seen other show even when I was watching Raven's Home, that's a Raven sequel, though, too, where they just talked they had masks. They didn't say it directly, they were just mentioning, "Oh, we had quarantine," and sometimes they had masks when they went outside. I was like, "No, this is fictional. I don't need this written in. Like, like, we don't need to did anyone do it with, like, MRSA and other things too that were, like, going around the swine flu? Like, we don't need to include this on here. It's a fictional thing. I just I don't want it." And so I was really annoyed that they had that. On the flip side, though, they did kind of have this like anti Big Brother thing because of the company where the one woman that Jade went to find the husband, and she was like, "I feel so much safer with all the patrols and the cameras," and then Jade's like, "That's Umbrella, always watching," and then the woman said like, "Well, I have nothing to hide," and which is like, oh, this is a thing that people say now too, like, why don't you just let the government and everything like know every inch of your life and body and stuff too? Because it's like, if you don't have anything to hide, then you're okay. Like, well, I don't want everyone to know everything.
I know. I always found that really weird that like and I've seen that about like how women talk to each other too. Like, oh, women talk to each other about everything. I'm like, I don't. Like, there's some parts of my life that I keep private from even my best female friends. I
Yeah,
know that women do talk about sex and stuff like that, but even then, I mostly don't talk about those things.
they're
So
just
I'm like this idea that like, oh, if you don't talk about it, it's because you're weird. You're doing something weird or uncouth or unethical or something, and it's like, no, some
no.
things are just private.
Yeah, some
Okay.
things they just and it varies per person too, but there's something like, "Oh, I'm more insecure about this thing, and I just don't wanna, like, talk about it to anyone," or I have, like, "This is just more personal or private," like, and and it also depends on the mood too, like, sometimes, like, "Oh, I feel okay, like, discussing this now," but, like, other times, it just might be like, "No, like, I don't wanna say anything," but, yeah, I don't know, I just some people are more private than others, and I don't.
I mean, I think that's a freedom of choice thing. Like,
Mhm.
you should be able to decide at what level you confide in someone, and that includes the entire public,
Yes.
you know,
Right, yeah, yeah,
and the
and you
government. Like, you should be able to decide how much you're going to share with people. Some
mhm.
people are very, very private. I'm one of them. Like, I know I'm on the internet, but people don't know where I where I live or where I work or even my legal name. Like, they don't know these things, and very purposely, they don't know about my personal relationships. I don't want people to know these things. And like, I do think social media especially makes people think, well, you need to put everything online. It's like, no, you don't.
Right.
You literally don't. And maybe you need to think about the fact that other people in your life maybe don't want to be on the internet as much as you are.
Yeah, and then I fluctuate on stuff too, where, like, sometimes, like, oh, I'm more okay with, like, giving, whatever personal stuff out, like, I'll talk about that, but it varies on stuff, and I try to be respectful. Like, if people don't wanna talk about certain like, I don't wanna pry, I try to be careful and, um, w with all of that. I don't know. Yeah, and it's just weird to me when people are like, expect you to always participate in everything too. I'm like, well, you know, some
I mean,
people.
there's YouTubers out there who never do a face reveal.
Yeah,
Like,
there are.
ever.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
they could be widely popular, but they will never do a face reveal. And that's
right.
their decision. They don't have to tell anyone who they are.
Yeah. There's a part of me that's like, I wanna know stuff just for the general sake of, like, I like to know things, though, but then there's the other part where I'm like, I don't care, like, yeah, maybe I just don't care at all, or I also respect your privacy, but ultimately, with Umbrella, they Umbrella Corporation, right? They really push through that, like, Umbrella lies, and then they have to cover up things, and I just to me, I was like, was it potentially canceled? The series was canceled because this is kinda like people might be associating with, like, some sort of, like, company that does stuff with, like, viruses and other things to like, pharmaceutical stuff. Then they're lying and then covering up things. I'm like, "Is that kinda too real right now?" That, like, it's too much conspiracy theory stuff. So it just made me kinda wonder where that was.
I think it was because it was bad.
That too, I can see why, but I just wondered. Um, Anything else from I liked at the end though, actually, the joy pill that they made where it was like, when you got to see it and then it like swirled and it ended up being like the logo that they had used for Umbrella the whole time, which I thought like that logo looks terrifying. Like it looks like a hazard symbol or something though, which like how do
It
people not
does.
think that? But I like that it ended up being when they inverted the colors or something like, oh, you made the joy symbol. So I kind of like that. I also liked at the end when Albert sacrificed himself to like blow up the lab and things where she's saying something about like what did you like, like I here's all this stuff, like what do you even have to show for it? And he said, I have a pen, and he used it to light up the thing to explode it, which was the line at the beginning when she was like making fun of him, like I have all these things, like what do you, and you just have this pen. So I kind of like, I like that callback at the end.
I honestly did not catch that one.
Oh yeah, I don't. I think when it first showed up, I was like, "Why are they talking about this pen at the very beginning?" Though, I'm like, "That seems like," and I was wondering, like, "Is there something cool about this pen?" Or weird? But then at the end, I'm like, "Oh, okay." So like,
I honestly don't know why he like held the lighter like lit up,
I
like shoot
know,
this hand,
yeah, yeah.
this
Like
one.
here it is. This is the.
I mean, it kind of reminded me of Resident Evil Apocalypse, where like Jill's trying to throw. I can't remember what she's throwing. Like if she's throwing matches and they go out, and then Alice throws a lighter, or if it's the inverse of that.
Mm,
That's that sequence in Resident Evil Apocalypse. That's kind of what it reminded me of.
yeah.
Maybe that's why I was distracted by Resident
Yeah.
Evil Apocalypse, which I did not like.
Um, I think that's all I have on Resident Evil for now until I watch the other movies. Is there anything else that you have to say on it?
I mean, I honestly think the whole franchise is a bit goofy and weird. There's a
Uh-huh.
point in one of the video games where Leon is punching a boulder. Like, and you literally have to quick time event to punch a boulder, and they made fun of it in Resident Evil Village, where it's like that boulder punching asshole. Like, it's a weird, stupid series, and I honestly think that the movies by Paul W.S. Anderson are a better adaptation because they're closer to that weird, stupid quality than this show.
Mhm,
This
it had
show
more
took itself
cheesiness, too
this show
serious.
took itself too seriously,
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah. I can see that too. That's why I really think that I like it well enough on its like, trying to think that this is just a separate, like, zombie series, and while I had, like, particular issues with it too, I was just like, "Okay," like, I'm interested in seeing what happens in the world because that's what it is with zombie stuff, like, okay, what caused it? Like, is there a way to figure it out? Is there a way to save things? But then, like, trying to relate it to the whole Resident Evil like, it probably would've been fine if it was just like, "Here's its separate series, and we're just making up our own storyline." Like, I don't think it needed to have the tie into Resident Evil. It could have just been its own thing, and,
Like
maybe
like Contagion or
yeah, yeah.
yeah, something that was just its own thing. Like, yeah, I agree with that. Like, I think it would have been more successful. But
Mhm,
there's a problem right now in Hollywood and these streaming companies where they're like, we need to bank on the fan IP, and then
mhm.
they go by pissing them all off. Like, we're
Yeah, yeah,
literally gonna change everything they liked about that IP, but expect them to show up anyway. And it's like, what? What kind of like honestly, I think if they were just doing things as original, like same stories, but original ideas, I don't think they would get as much backlash as they have. Like, but they're like literally, it's like you're literally pissing in the face of these IPs fans constantly,
yeah.
and I can see how that's not actually helping them make money on these products.
Yeah, because I think I don't know what goes on through them, but, like, for me, if I had to do it, it's like, "Okay, well, let's reboot this series or something," but everything's been done already with it, so we have to switch it up so that way we're not just remaking the exact same thing, but then it's like but people like, that's what they wanted to see, so then you switch it up and people hate it because like, you did go a different direction, but then you're trying to just do something new, and then it's like, "I'll just do something totally new," and not like, you're just taking the brand for it, and then so I can see where it gets tricky. Also, Wallace Williams says, "Hold up, is Resident Evil a zombie franchise? Yes, no." For me, I mean, like, maybe other people disagree with it, but just because they turn into, like, it's a virus that causes changes and that you're, like, effectively brain dead and attacking and eating people, I consider it a zombie thing. So I don't and then even though I know in the original, like, zombie stuff, it's more from undead that came back through, like, voodoo stuff, but the way everything's done now is that, like, it's a viral outbreak that changes people though too, so, like, I would say that it's zombie stuff, so that's what I've been referring to them as, but I don't know.
I uh like what is your favorite zombie movie?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I haven't seen all of, like, the classics stuff. Maybe, what's it called? Quarantine. I haven't seen that in years, but I remember actually like, yeah, this is like 14 years ago actually. But I just remember being emotionally like, "Oh, this is actually, like, well done in, like, a creepy way that, like, oh, it makes me, like, kind of nervous for it," but I don't remember, like, any actual parts of it except for I think a guy crushes a rat with his foot. I think he stomps on a rat. I think that's the only part I remember, but I just remember liking them and thinking like, "Oh, this is actually kinda scary the way it was done."
I think for me it's 28 Days Later.
Oh, see, I haven't seen those. That's why, like, there's
It's
so many ones that I haven't seen yet.
it's pretty
Uh,
good. Like I like it because it's not just it's like it's more about survival and less about like because it's 28 days after the zombie apocalypse. So it's not on the like it's you're not seeing the outbreak. So I don't know, it's more human in how
mm.
it handles everything. So that's one of the reasons why I like it.
Well, I would say for October, we should just only be doing horror stuff, though, so I think
Yeah.
that is, so maybe we can put those on the list, whether they're new or not, we'll just start doing, like, horror movies and TV shows, which maybe will be good for Scream Queens, so you need to finish Scream
I
Queens.
know I need to
Um,
start on season 2.
but,
But I'm trying to finish the Terminal List. I
I
got 1.5
know,
episodes left.
I still have I think I'm on episode 5 or something, so
Although I went to Amazon today, looked up the new Lord of the Rings show, and it said it's available September 1st. And I was like, isn't it September 1st? And it wasn't
Yeah.
available for me to watch it. And I was like, what's going on here? Like, is it September 1st on the last hour in the time zones? Like, what is when does it
The
actually come
last
out?
hour of like until everyone is September 1st, so you have to
So,
wait.
yeah, like, then, like, I don't know.
Um,
11:59 PM? Well,
yeah,
that's
right.
bullshit. That's
Not in
not
this century.
September 21st. Wait, what? Dark Matter is being rebooted on Apple TV? Like, what are they doing? Nothing to do with the Netflix version. Then I'm probably not gonna be that happy about it.
Okay. Well, all right. So instead, let's just jump into the Sandman. I don't think I have a ton to say. I only did episode 1 of it, but just so we can knock out the next
Me
topic.
too. Only
Um,
one episode.
I'll say I like it. I don't know how you felt about it. I thought I liked the fantasy thing, and I'm actually interested in watching more of it. So just generally, like maybe everyone hates it and stuff too, but I had no idea of what Sandman was like with the storyline. But it was just kind of like I I like I liked the
This was so I've read the
dream.
first volume of the Sandman, and I was a little annoyed by the fact that they spent so much time in the 20s. Like
Yeah,
almost
I
all the
thought the
episode
whole
is in
thing
the
was gonna take place in it, and when it fast
it's not
forwarded, I was like,
supposed to. Like, this is when they describe the comic book, this is what they say. They say that Dream has been captured for 70 years, and
oh, so just
when he like is released in modern times, he has to correct the mistakes of the last 70 years in his absence. So it's like the inciting, so he gets captured in the first, like on the first fucking page almost. Like, it's really early in the comic book. Like, it's maybe not the first page. That's a little bit hyperbolic, but it's not that, like, it's not like like really late. And then by the end, it's like it's modern time of the first comic book is he's free. So it's like they spent so much time on the 20s. I was so upset by that, and I was like, no, it's like, because one of my favorite parts in the Sandman is when he's getting his ruby back, which he gets that back from Dr. Destiny, I think is what his name is, who's a DC villain.
Oh,
Who
okay.
fucks people's brains in their sleep and kills them in their sleep. Which was a really cool tie-in to like DC villains. And so to me, I was sort of like, why are we spending so much time on this? I hate this. Move forward. I'm so sick of him being trapped in this fucking thing.
It's
Like,
definitely
it should have
long.
taken 15 minutes. It should have taken them 15 minutes to cover his capture, his imprisonment, and then his freedom. And then it should have been off to the races.
Especially when, like, the characters that you spent so much time on aren't gonna be in the rest of the show either, though, so it was like, that's so, like,
I'm not saying the kid wasn't in the comic book, because he was. He definitely was. But it was a lot less time, a lot less effort spent on this character. Like, I have to say, I don't give a shit about Alex. I don't care about him. Okay, I care about Dream and what he does when he gets free. That's the story.
So I had no idea what the plot would be, like where it was headed, though, because it was like, oh, you spent all this time on here, and then but actually, this is what the rest of the show is going to be about. Is like trying to fix it. Like, oh, that's interesting. So that's why I'm like, I want to see it, but I can see where you're like, you're going to lose people in that beginning, though, because you just spent so much time. And I was like, is this going to be a period piece, like all the way, spending all this time back here? But as much as I didn't like Alex and stuff, like they really got into that character. And if he's just, I mean, he did say that he was going to spend the rest of eternity sleeping. So I don't know whether Alex is going to be back in the series somehow too, if he's but like if he's not, then I'm like, well, what was the point of like learning about this whole like character dynamic and stuff? Because I was thinking like Alex is weak, yeah, because his older brother died and his dad clearly the magus was the only, like, he liked his older brother more. So Alex just spent the whole time like trying to just do what his dad wanted. And I was so scared for the Raven Jessamy. That was what it happened, because she was like spend that time in. And then when that scene went on where she just kept trying to like break that globe that Dream was in, I was like, no, this shot, like this is happening for too long. You're going to get killed now, aren't you? And then she exploded from the shotgun, and I was really sad about that.
I felt like the CGI in the beginning was really bad.
Mhm.
I mean, like I'm like I'm not a huge effects like snob or anything, but it did not look good. Like, and that was the thing too, is that what it reminded me of was watching Once Upon a Time, which that show is
Uh,
almost is like what 10 years old now.
maybe
Like the
old,
fairy
yeah.
tale scenes are all in CGI and they're bad looking, and it's like, well, they're 10 years old. CGI wasn't that great then. And it's like, why are you just doing all these CGI like art piece shots when you didn't even put in like the budget for it? Like,
Yeah.
stop it. I'd rather you not show it.
See, yeah, I guess I vary on like pickiness too, because it was like everyone complaining about She-Hulk, and I was like, whatever. Like I thought it's okay. Like I didn't super care. But then when it came to Prey, when they had those animals, I'm like, this is awful. Like those animals would look so fake and it was so bad. And um, so it really, I don't know what it is. I think when it's and this is probably going to be inconsistent too, but I think like when it's like trying to be so hard to be realistic, then it might be more critical like those animals. But when it's like the fantasy with the dream stuff or magic or things like that too, where I'm like, okay, like whatever, like this isn't like I can suspend my disbelief a little bit more, let it be more cartoony and stuff. Then so maybe I'm less picky about that. I don't know. Um so if Alex exists in the comics, not you, Alex, the other the child, was he supposed to be gay in the comics too, though? Because did they establish that? Because that just seemed like, why did they have that in there? That seemed unnecessary to
It
have
was
the
unnecessary.
romance.
I
I get
literally like paused it at one point and like was thinking, I'm hearing John Delarose, who's in our chat right now. I'm hearing his voice in my head saying, "What is with this gay shit?"
yeah. Yeah.
Because
Yeah, I just
like I said, I like the first volume of the Sandman, so I was like, "What is
upset, yeah,
this?"
yeah, because
I
then it's like,
literally
"Oh, we
like
don't
pulled
even
out.
matter. You if you're not in the rest of it," like, I didn't need to see all this character development, and it seemed it just seemed, like, forced, I guess, too, as far as, like, the woke Hollywood thing trying to be inclusive like that, where I'm like, that I guess maybe it was similar to maybe that was the reason why they did it in Resident Evil in the series with the moms. But like even with that, I'm like, I don't really care. Like it just kind of that was a little bit more fitting. Like they talked about the family, like the family mattered at that point with the son and their relationship and stuff with the parents. And so that one I was like more okay. But like in Sandman, I was just like, why? Why did we even need this part here too? Like it was barely right. They kind of hinted at it when they were younger, and then later on, he just said like, "Darling," and like, oh yeah. I mean, like I knew it was coming, but I was just like, why? Um, and then but I'll say too, with Dream, was it his name's also Morpheus or something? He goes by different names, right?
He has all the names for that mean like
Does he
person in
also go by
charge of children.
Sandman? Does he go by that?
Yeah, like
Okay.
you could call him any of those names.
It's
It won't
called
matter.
okay.
Like to me, I always think of him as Dream. That's how I think
I was so in watching this, I was like, outside of how like ridiculously pale his skin is,
of him.
my God, is he pretty. And that hair. Like just a
Really?
really yeah, he is totally my type. And I'm like,
Okay.
here.
I thought his like mouth was so tiny. Like to me it was like freakishly small. That's what
I
I
don't know.
saw.
I don't know.
He
Maybe
was
it's the
like
hair.
flexing in every single shot, like ah.
When he flexed, I think he was more like in fetal position a lot when he was just stuck inside them. And like he did not look like he was tough or anything, though. He looked
Well, he was like showing off all his muscles in so many of the shots, and I think I'm like they're trying to make him look inhuman because he's one of the endless. So to me that makes
uh
sense, but I'm like laughing because I'm considering the actor on set, and, and
having
I'm
I
like,
know,
this
I
is
kept
must
thinking
be
about like how
awkward.
naked does he have to be like throughout all of these scenes and stuff too. Like I kept thinking about that, but no, I loved his hair. I have to look at his face again though too, because I don't remember his lips being there, but I was just like, no, like you've got a pretty face. And
He's
Wallace,
actually kind of pretty accurate to
pretty
how
much
like
sake.
he looks in the comic book. I won't say like
Oh,
they even
really?
did the mask was accurate too. Like some of
Mhm.
the visuals I think they're nailing. Like I do. And but I don't know. I feel like they took too long in that first
Yes, I
episode.
agree
That's
with
my
that.
biggest complaint.
And maybe,
Um
I don't like to that's why I need to with a lot of TV shows, I actually do like, and give you guys 2 seasons to, like, really get into it, to, like, find your find your place. So with, like, sitcom like, with other things too, or even Supernatural, I thought, like, it was kind of bad for the first at least the acting. Um, but yeah, so I kind of I will continue to watch something that I'm like, even if I don't think I really like it or so I'm hopeful. So I think if Sandman, I think there's potential in it. So I don't know what direction they're gonna go with, but I think like I will be watching the rest of it and just to see. So it
Well,
held me enough that like I didn't outright hate it.
well, that's good. But like I have this thing where like I'm really enjoying something and then there's like usually about one episode that is like it murders my enjoyment of the show. That happens a lot. Like I
Mm,
don't know if you know the show Legion.
I
Stars
knew
Dan Stevens.
of it.
It's an X-Men show. He's David is Xavier's son, and
Hmm.
he has DID, and like all his different personalities have their own powers. It's like that's the comic book thing. But on the first season was so amazing. Dan Stevens is a very good actor. There was a lot of stylistic choices that were like out there and strange and amazing. Some really cool ideas going on. And then I started watching season 2, and there was this one episode where I was like, "You fucking lied to us, and this was terrible." And I'm out. I'm fucking out. Like, and it wasn't even like I'm out. It was more like I didn't even verbalize it or even think of it. I just stopped watching the show, and I realized, man, they really killed my interest in their show, like
Oh,
that on that one episode. Like, but that happens to me a lot. I got that happened to me on like I have to push through sometimes on episodes like Battlestar Galactica. The first episode of the second season is really bad. It's a bad episode, and they basically stole the plot line of that episode for uh uh the Last Jedi. It's like, well, it wasn't
oh,
good then. It's not good now either. Yeah, we as Wallace Williams says, Legion season 1 is awesome. It is. It's absolutely amazing. Definitely worth watching. I don't know.
the
I
rest.
can't finish season
Hmm.
2.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I think I push through when stuff where I'm like, I just need to finish things though. And while I was
I
at
only finished Resident Evil because we were going to talk about
you had
it.
to Taiwan, yeah. Well, I was actually just like interested to see like I wanted some of the questions answered, and they didn't answer all of them because they just cliffhanger, but whatever. Well, it's as bad for the first few seasons while they were figuring out the characters, bad for the last few when it got tired. Are you talking about Supernatural? Everyone hated the last some seasons. I think it to me it kind of like it like went down in between like season 7, 8 were like bad. I think I got more fun as the last seasons happened. So, but there were ups and downs. So I actually enjoyed Supernatural like toward the end, outside of like the very last episode.
Tree
uh,
Surgeon says most writers are at least vaguely left, so don't be surprised by that. And
oh yeah, yeah.
in response to that, Rib Rascal says it may seem that way, but it's really the liberal publishing scene in New York who are gatekeeping out the
Yeah.
non-lefties in fiction, and that is true for
Yes.
writing in Hollywood too. And
Mhm.
because I'm a writer, I have a novelist. John Del Rose is a writer. He has several
He
books.
has to,
Uh,
self-publishing everything. Yeah.
yeah. And like I'm self-published too because we can't if you're non-liberal right now, you can't fucking publish your work through the traditional methods. And honestly, I don't think you should anyway because they take most of your money in the
Yeah.
first
Yeah,
place.
if you can sell on your own, take out the middleman. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So like you can buy my book directly from me. Like the only person who takes any kind of money out of that is Stripe for processing it.
Mm.
Like honestly, it is definitely worth it now to go find indie writers because we're not in traditional publishing anymore.
Right. Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. Um, yeah, because it's not just I mean, overall, I'd still say, like, the majority of people who are out there, they're gonna be more liberal in the cities and the ones who wanna be actors and performers and writers and all that too, but the other ones who aren't, they definitely are getting pushed out. I mean, like, I felt that way when I just like in Chicago and the improv community, like I just didn't talk like politics and stuff, like because I'm like, oh, it didn't super matter to me, but it also was kind of like some people are way more passionate about their like authoritarianism that I'm just like I don't want to get involved in any of this stuff. So, and eventually it was just like anyone who remotely like sides like agrees with any like the GOP is just downright evil and stuff. So anyone who like could potentially think of them as human is going to be awful. Plug your work. Yeah.
Yes.
You can get it there. https://t.co/n capital X2 capital K O 07 Z capital Q capital G.
It's also Alex Maselli's plays, poems, and prose, and spelled out .wordpress.com.
It's a lot of words.
It is a lot of words.
So for Sandman, I think that's pretty much all I have on it because I am just interested to see where it goes. Like the first episode, it was slow, but like the world that they are built with it so far, it has kept my interest to see what they're gonna do with like him rebuilding the dream world and going after what was it? The bad guy. I can't remember his name. The blind one. But so I'm just.
Yeah. I like that actor, by the way.
Oh yeah, he seemed
the nightmare actor. I like him. He's in that movie Vengeance that we watched a trailer for.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, I like him.
So, all right, before we get into the black phone, I just wanted to take a moment to share this tweet that I came across, saying this slowly while I figure out how to share this screen. There we go. Jordan Peele sparks serious backlash as he reveals he doesn't see himself casting a white human actor.
My biggest question about this is why did he
specify human? That's what I said. Yeah, I saw this in Discord, and that's what I replied with. Like, and that's why I'm bringing this up because it's just like whatever. Like, when I was talking to my gentleman caller, because he was like, "Does he know that he cast white people in Nope in his latest film? That white people were there." So just one, like, I don't know why that all. Like, whatever. If that's how you want to cast stuff, like, okay.
And his white mother.
His wife and mother are both white, and I think he has a child, so it's like half white. But my biggest question though is the white human thing. Why did he need to specify human? Which I think then that means like my white geese and the white rabbit, like they're allowed to be cast then.
Does he want to cast white aliens? Like what is?
I think so.
What is his like?
The lizard people. It makes me think that, like, where they have the Illuminati when they talk about lizard people and all that, it makes me think that is actually real now because he has to be specific to humans. Then and maybe that's why. Maybe the only ones he cast in his film so far that were white were, lizard people. So it's okay. But yeah, so I just wanted to bring that up.
That one was so crazy. I do think
Steve Wallace said the same thing because he's a lizard person.
Yeah.
Do you think he's becoming what?
Kind of one note, like M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah. I mean, I still haven't seen the was it Us film too? So I've only seen 2 of them. Or so I'm like I liked what I've seen so far. I think it's like if I'll watch that one and then I'll wait. If I guess 3 is a pattern. If you think all 3 of them are the same, then I'll be hesitant. But
yeah, I mean, it's kind of it. I think a lot of artists are like that. Like the only one that I didn't really feel that way about as a director was David Finch. Was not has never been gotten like old hat, like doesn't pull the same shit every time. The other one was Kubrick, because he made wildly different movies, that were pretty good, all of them. So, but I think M. Night Shyamalan and Peele are kind of like mostly one note.
I'm gonna reserve judgment for now until I watch more. I'll watch Us, and then I need to wait for another film, and if I think that they're all too similar, then yeah, so I need to wait. I don't wanna jump the gun, like Alex.
I feel bad, but I have to go pee.
Oh,
And
no,
I
you're fine.
and I have to feed the cats, so I'll be right back.
Okay. Hey, chat, I'm just gonna look through here and talk to you guys for I'm hungry now too that you guys have been talking about food so much. So let's talk more about pizza and potatoes and things. Um, Tree Surgeon, you say, I have no patience for shows anymore. I have a woke and bad writing limit where I just cut out. Yeah, Alex and I think talked about this last week where the wokeness, it really depends. Like if it's super preachy on being woke, then I'm not gonna like it. If it's just like scatter, like here's like one thing here that's not too preachy, but you're like, oh, they probably did it just to throw in the woke stuff. Like I can get past that. It's the bad writing part that might be worse. But I think I have a lower bar depending on stuff too. Like I've said other many times that like if it makes me laugh, then I'm probably like it. Um, but I've watched a lot of things that are considered bad though too, so I'm just used to to watching bad stuff that everyone else hates, but I'm like, "I will watch this show." Let's see. Rings of Power. Oh, yeah, I think we're gonna talk about that next week, actually. So we'll watch at least the first episode and talk about Rings of Power. I don't know anything about I think I've only seen, like, the first Lord of the Rings, actually, and nothing else ever. Um Oh, JB says, "Thanks to Rings of Power, we have a Tolkien dwarf of color." Do we? Um, do they not exist either? In D&D, you have, like, various dwarf I think the dwarves can be in all kinds of colors there too, so I don't think they ever really established, like, colors for it, but I don't think colors matter as much from that. I'm trying to think of you have, like, different types, like hill dwarf, other dwarves that I can't think of right now, but they're just different, like, types of dwarves. Um, well, I don't know what is this to Alex's thing? Yes, you already got that. Never mind. When the lights flicker, that's the name of her book. Johnny Boy Quick Draw, Smooth Beverly. I don't know what I said it then, but I'm always smooth. I have a velvety voice. Uh, he's been saying that for years, Wallace. Not the human part though. Oh, that he just wouldn't cast white people as his main ones. Yeah, like I'm just kind of used to that now. Like, oh, his thing is like making black roles and as your main characters, which like okay, I'm fine with that because I I think people do write what they know. Like you would normally write a character that you're more familiar with. So it's just like, yeah, you're gonna write roles that are of black people, whether the race matters or not. It's just kind of like, oh, this is just what I recognize. For me, I grew up with a lot of white people. Like I grew up with my white family. So anytime I write characters, I actually think of them all as white people too. Like I don't really do like Asian or halfies. Tree surgeon. So he's going to cast black dogs from now on? Yes. I think that is the goal. Johnny boy, he was probably afraid of running afoul of the woke brigade by saying something wrong, so he went with human. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. I think you have to be careful and not say like can't misgender, you can't miss uh, uh what else like miss race, you can't do anything. So saying human is the safest role. And Alex is back. Oh, and then I lost everything in chat anyway. I scrolled up too high. Oh, there's more chats. JB says it's a dad joke pun. There's one POC dwarf in the movie. She's a token. Oh, okay, okay. Well, she'd be perfect here then. You're muted, Alex. I hear nothing.
I said, yes, I washed my hands.
And so too.
I also fed both cats.
and licked her fingers during it. Oh, JB says pineapple on your pizza is your business. Mandating pineapple on all pizzas is evil. You know what? That is the one mandate I can agree with, though, is that put pineapple on all. I love pineapple pizza.
I can't eat pineapple, so
I
I've
know.
never been
Yeah.
able to eat
Oh,
like
you're
tropical
missing
fruit. I
out.
can't eat it.
love
It
chocolate.
like burns. I don't know
I can
what's
see that, yeah. Well, that's what I think I've mentioned it before too. My old coworker at the newspaper where he said that he got sick, like, eating pineapple, but he didn't really know if that was the cause. He just, like, it hurt his stomach and stuff. But he brought more raw pineapple to work that day after he talked about it and ate some and then got sick and then left early and he was, like, putting together all the papers, like, the different pages of the papers. And since he left early, it fell to me, and I had to and I had, like, my 2 pages, and he had, like, the 8 or whatever, and then the other guy had the sports. So it was, like, 12 pages that I had to do 10 of, and then the sports guy was, like, a fill-in, and he did them all terribly wrong, and I had to just start from scratch. So I had to do all the pages myself,
oh.
paginating the paper. So that was a rough night for both the pineapple guy and me. Um
Most American pizza is already like not what Italians and Sicilians would serve. So to me, I'm sort of like, oh, you want to put barbecue sauce on it, or you want to put
Well,
fucking
yeah.
pineapple on it? It doesn't fucking matter. Like,
Yeah,
it's
it's in the
like I'm not.
Americanized.
I mean, I know there's this hilarious video of this woman telling her fiance who's from Italy that she's going to order pineapple on her pizza, and he's like, what? And like she's like, yeah, I'm gonna order pineapple on my pizza. And he says, you can, if you do that, I can no come back here.
Thank you, man.
Because yeah, an actual, not an Italian American or Sicilian American, but an actual Italian or Sicilian
Yeah.
is probably gonna lose their shit. But I don't think Americans should be upset about pineapple on pizza.
What is what's it called? Margarita pizza. What is that?
Mar-
Is that
it,
supposed to be actually Italian or Sicilian or something, like, more
we call
realistic?
it white pizza. It's pizza that doesn't have tomato sauce on it.
Wait, I
It's
thought it
made
does. I thought it was mostly tomato sauce and less cheese on margarita pizza, 'cause I thought the
No,
ones I've seen.
margarita pizza is supposed to be olive oil and cheese and maybe like diced tomatoes
Oh, what
on
kind?
top.
Oh, all the ones that I've seen, I think they've called them margarita pizzas have been like I thought there's not enough cheese on here and there's too much sauce, so I don't know, like, but I rarely try and get them, but I don't know then. But I'm pretty sure the ones that I've had, they called them margaritas, so maybe they're just doing them wrong. But yeah, I just think if for pizza, I need to have cheese, like, that's my most important thing is, like, bread and cheese. And if you don't have that, it's not pizza. Um, okay. So we move on to Black Phone. I didn't realize it was gonna take place in the '70s, and I was part of me is kind of, like, a little tired of, like, period pieces, especially, like, for horror movies that are in the set, like, I don't really watch I don't know, like, I go back and forth and, like, it depends, like, everything's in the '80s now, and then they do, like, '70s and stuff too, so I was a little bit hesitant about that, but it ended up being, okay, like, it wasn't too and it didn't matter. I didn't know if I did read the short story too, because you said that I didn't realize
Yeah,
it
I did
wasn't until you
too.
mentioned it, and yeah, when you said you were going to, I'm like, "Alright, I'll find it."
It
And then I was
wasn't
like
that long.
oh, it was like 30 pages. I was like, "Oh, that's more than a short story for me." Like, I thought a short story might be like 5, like, ugh, okay.
Really? I thought it was a very short story, like
No, I mean, like,
way short.
ultimately, like, it was fine, like, it was a quick enough read, but I just when I think short story, I was thinking like, "Oh, it's only gonna be a few pages long." Like, 30 is just, like, way more than I just wasn't anticipating it. So, I actually was kind of reading it along with watching the movie. So, I kinda read more, and I was, like, trying to keep up with, like, "Okay, what part is happening here?" So, like, everything was kind of fresh as which I guess is similar to what I do a lot of, like, reading plots, summaries and stuff as I watch things too, though, and that's why sometimes I accidentally spoil things, but I like to just kind of follow I don't know why. I have no idea why, but it's just a thing. I do like to follow along with stuff.
my my thing when watching this is that like, oh, the cops say the detectives say there were black balloons found at the crime scene, and I was like, okay, it's the 70s. Have you gone to places where you could buy party supplies and ask them if they even carry black balloons?
Yeah.
And if they don't, ask them if anyone ordered them special. Because that would be my first move, because I don't think even in the 70s that black balloons were that big of a deal.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I mean Yeah, it seemed like it shouldn't have been that hard to be able to, like, yeah, do some detective work, when you have, like, black balloons as a thing. Um, I guess what did you think overall for the short story by Joe Hill, who's son of Stephen King, and then the movie?
So I read the short story after I watched the movie. I think the movie is better.
Hmm.
I
Mhm.
do. I'm not one of those people who's automatically going to say that the
Original
original
one
is
is always
better.
mhm.
No, sometimes an adaptation is an improvement, and I felt like this
Yeah.
was.
I agree.
Uh,
I do, and, from what I read, Joe Hill was saying he was worried about it he thought, like, there is room for this to become a full-length story, but he had 4 failed novels at that point, so he just didn't think he had the skill to write a full novel with it,
mm,
so he just left it as a short story, and so I think which probably ended up being good, and, so then he liked what the script writers ended up doing with the film because he didn't they didn't take anything away. They added to it to like, okay, here's this short story. We need to expand on it. And so like, everything was an addition. So he liked what they did with it. The only change that they made or like the biggest change, I guess, like that was that he went from the bad guy who's the grabber. So I guess be, to sum up the storyline, it takes place in the 70s. There's a kidnapper who's been kidnapping children, and and then there's a black phone. So it's a little bit supernatural, but like mostly it's about like these kids getting kidnapped, and the main kid gets kidnapped and has to figure out how to escape. But the kidnapper, they call him the grabber, and he initially talks about how he's like, "Oh, I have these balloons and stuff," and I'm in the story, he says, "I'm a part-time clown," and then in the movie, they change it to a part-time magician because when they were going over it, they're like, "Oh, it is out now," because it was like a couple of years ago, and like it's a big thing. And Joe Hill said that he had read it a lot when he was a kid. He was doing all this, like so, but he hadn't read it when he wrote the story. Like he just wasn't even thinking about it. He was comparing it to, I think, what's his name? John Wayne Gacy. Is that the right name?
oh yeah, John
Uh,
Wayne Gacy. I mean, that's who Pennywise is basically
yeah.
based
So
on too.
I
So
think he took because he was a part-time clown, so then it was just kind of like, "Oh, I was taking off the real life thing," and I don't know, this is just what he's saying, unless he just was actually trying to steal from Pennywise, but, so he's like, "Well, we don't wanna rip off from that," and then as I was reading this, I was like, I forgot, I'm like, "Oh, yeah, Stephen King's your dad," so then you're like, you really need to stay away from that, you're just like, you have so they changed it to magician, I was like, "Okay," like, whatever, and,
mhm.
like, him wearing the black and everything
They
too,
also didn't make the grabber fat.
I noticed that because they kept talking about how fat he was in the story, and I
Yeah.
wondered if they would have done that had Ethan Hawke not been cast as if they were just like, "Oh, yeah, we'll take you," and I forgot I didn't realize it was him until, later on too, I just didn't pay
Well,
attention
the
enough.
the director directed Sinister, and Ethan Hawke is in that, and he
Mhm.
really wanted to work with Ethan Hawke again.
Yeah, yeah, so,
So
that's what I
he did ask Ethan Hawke if he would do this, and like at first Ethan Hawke didn't really want to
Oh,
be
really?
because he doesn't play villains really, and
Oh,
then
okay.
but then he's like, okay, I'll like he likes Scott, the director, so he said, I'll do it if the script is good. They send him the script, and he read it, and he left a voicemail on Scott's phone in the voice of the grabber, and basically saying, yes, I'll do it, and which is like, dude, man, creepy. But like, I think Ethan Hawke did a very good job.
I thought he was fantastic in it.
Yeah.
I I'm trying to think of well, but just because he kinda had this, and, like, the craziness, like, where he kinda had this, like, childlike innocence mixed in with the, like, psychopath, like, the violent psychopath, and also, like, this kind of, like, flamboyantness and just, like, sort of how he, like, spoke and carried himself well, yeah, more just how he spoke, I guess, but, I don't know, like, so I just thought, like, yeah, you kinda have the creepy childlike the dynamic going on. I thought he just did that really well, um, and I'm trying to think, I feel like it reminds me, like, it really vaguely reminding me of some sort of anime, like some sort of bad guy anime character, but I can't think of it right now. Uh,
With the thing is that I noticed, and I don't know if you noticed this, but the ghost kids weren't telling him how to escape. They were giving him pieces of how to kill the grabber. And that was their plan. Like they literally say a line to him that makes no sense in saying it to him, but then they play that same line when
Later when it's talking to
to the grabber.
mhm.
So it's like
Yeah.
they planned this.
Well, they even the one guy, Vance or something too, when he was like, the kid, Finney was like, "Thank you, for what? Like, for helping me." Like, "I'm not helping you." Like, "Fuck him." Like, so, like, he
This isn't
so it wasn't
about
about helping
you.
yes, it's about you, like, so it was about taking him down, so it was just like, yeah, everyone is just wanting to do that. Okay, uh, for specific I'll get into, like, my problems with it, or, like, the bigger problems, but, like, for, like, the smaller specific things, I just remember that there was a scene where it was like Finney was walking like home from school and it like time lapse where it kind of like skipped him just like a few feet, like a few times as he did it. And I'm like, well, what? Like, they did like fade transition. And I was like, why? Why are you doing like, why does it make it seem like time is passing when he's just like 3 feet farther down the sidewalk than he was? And like, why do you keep doing that? If you don't want to spend that much time on the scene, just make it a shorter scene. Like, I don't understand why. I thought that was a weird director thing to do. Um, Other problems I had were, like, if there are these many children, uh, getting kidnapped, around, like, similar times, like, I don't know how much and the story, like, it was a couple year like, there were
Yeah, there
some
was a
times in
long periods of
but in
time.
the movie, it seemed like they were closer together, like, why would there not be more like, parents not be more on lockdown with their kids or, like, something about curfews and stuff, like, I mean, I'm
That was
not
my
saying that, like,
thought too.
mandates on, like, the town or something are good, but it was just like that, like, "Hey, we're, highly suggesting that children should be" or, like, I would be a helicopter mom, totally like, I would I'd drop off my kid and pick them up like that, like, every time, I would not let them
Like
like, everyone's still walking home from school, I'm like, "Would you know that this is happening. This people are being kidnapped."
with Finney, I get it. Like his dad
His
is an
dad is
alcoholic
right.
and
He
depressed.
beats
So
his
like
children, yeah.
yeah, so like him not which but they almost cut that scene, by the way. They
Mm.
wanted him to and like no one pushed him really hard on it. And I was like, I think they should have stayed in. Like honestly, I do. So I'm glad that it's still there. But yeah, like his dad, I get it. I get why he's not being more protective of his kid.
Sure, yeah.
Um,
But everyone else, I mean, like, why are there, like, 5 kids that went missing within a certain like, and I
it felt
mean
like it was only like 2 months of
yeah,
time.
yeah. I'll say that some of the other ones too, they were like, oh, they were bad kids too. Like the Vance guy was bad. Like, so he probably had bad parents and whatever. But just seeing the other students walk home alone, like within the scene, I'm like,
Like
why? Why are
Bruce's
there
parents
that many?
seem okay.
Yeah, yeah. So then, like, so when you know that this is happening, just why?
Oh, okay.
Uh,
So the first kid to get taken, the paper boy, that's based on a
mm,
real paper boy that went missing in Idaho, I think. He
okay,
was out with his dog doing his paper route. They found his dog, but they didn't find him, and they still don't know what happened to him. So
yeah,
that is so like he was the first one taken, and he had a reason to be out. He has a paper route. Like that made sense from that perspective. But like once like one kid goes missing, I'm sort of like
be in
more parents
high
would be
alert.
locking down their kids. Two
Yeah.
kids go missing. Okay, no, like more people would be locking down their kids. And like 3 kids, I'm like, okay, come on, we're on number 5 now.
Yes, yeah, mhm, like, cancel school, kind of thing, like,
Yeah.
I feel like at least parents would be calling for it. We're like, "This is too dangerous. Find this guy first, and then we'll come back." But because even in, like, Stranger Things too, that they were kind of like, "Hey, you need to stay home," and then the kids kept breaking out and stuff, but, like so I'd say that, like, at least they kinda talked about, like, "Hey, this is dangerous, you should stay home." Although they were kind of bad about, like, "Let me keep a closer eye on my child because they keep running off," and
Well,
everything, but
then, the thing is, though, is that you know, it,
mhm.
the reason why the kids keep going missing and the parents don't seem to care is that the Pennywise is not just a clown that grabs kids. He's a curse on this town,
Yeah,
and the parents are not involved on purpose. Like
yeah,
it is like a thing that is happening. So like to me in it, I expect the parents not to be involved because the parents are being affected by this. But like because it's like a pall over the entire town. But I mean, that's not the case in the grabber, in the black phone. So I'm sort of like, why
Right.
doesn't anyone care?
Yeah, yeah, so I was upset. I think well, that goes to wait, I'll wait for that because that may be a longer discussion. Okay, put a pin in that. I'd say that in the short story, did only Bruce call him? Because it seemed like only
Yes.
one, and that's one thing I liked more about the movie is having the different kids call him to give him
Yes.
input and all that, and so like you said, like sometimes the original isn't always the best thing though, because like yeah, there's a lot more to this. Like I want to know more. I think a lot with a lot of short stories, I actually like, oh, I want more context. I want more information on things. So so I think sometimes expanding on it, I like that more. Let me see. Oh, I was wondering why they added it, like, the random guy who was like, "Oh, I'm trying to solve this mystery. I'm from out of town, like, I'm just staying at my brother's place," and then, and so I'm like, "Why are they bringing" like, he came in, like, later on too. I was just like, "What is he supposed to be here?" And then eventually I was like, "Oh, you're" because in the story, you saw that, like, the grabber had a brother, and that was the problem with, like, him trying to like, oh, the grabber kept being like, "Oh, I'm busy. I can't do this right now," because then he wouldn't talk about it, but his brother was upstairs and stuff, and so eventually I was like, "Oh, you're the brother," but I didn't relate it because in the story, he was a cokehead or something, so he was just like,
Yeah.
whatever, and then in the movie, I kinda liked it more that he was, like, interested in, like, trying to solve it, which I was also like, "Are you that" like, how do you not know that though too?
No,
Like
I know.
can you really not tell? Like, at least as a cokehead, you're, like,
He
out of
is
it
a
maybe,
cokehead in
and
the movie too.
was he?
Yes, when the cops come inside and he shows them all that shit, and they
Oh,
tell
and they were,
him,
like, clean up
and they're like, like, "If you see the kids, just call us." And then they're like, "And also, you might wanna clean up
clean up
before
the
you
ha
bring
oh,
your
I
kids
didn't
here."
notice what was
And then
on
they
the
and
stuff.
the
Oh.
cops leave, the detectives leave, and he looks down at the coffee table, and there are lines of Coke. And
Oh,
then
okay,
he's like,
I didn't see
"Oh,
what was
you
on it.
moron!"
Yeah,
He's like, "You idiot!" And then
mhm.
he snorts it, of course. So he's a
Okay.
cokehead in the movie too. They kept
Okay,
that.
okay. So they did keep it, but then he was just more involved in, like, trying to do stuff, but so I like that. I like that he was invested in it, but I heard the dialogue, I just didn't see what was going on. I guess, like, I saw the tape, like, I didn't relate, like, what was on the table, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, seriously, it's, like, right there, literally, like, under your nose, and, well, you got some other stuff in your nose, I guess. But,
I mean, he kept the kids in the movie. The kids are in a different house. They're in the house across the street.
but he finds so he goes across the street to find I thought the dead kids were buried in the empty house, and then the living
Yeah,
kid
you're right.
was in the one that they were staying in.
Yeah.
So he was just under there the whole time, which would make more sense to stay in the one that no one else is in, like, it's easier to hide, especially from your brother, so I don't know why you'd choose that, but so going to having the other kids call on the phone and everything, I thought that was a good move. My thing is when, like, when you're expanding on a short story, but my problem is in expanding on it is that, like, a lot of short stories, you can't get into backstory of, like, why things are happening, and I really wanted to know why the black phone existed. Like, what was how did it get there? Like, why did he just have that? Like, why was it the supernatural thing that had the ghosts of the kids that he's killed, and then he was kinda hearing it? Like, it didn't get into any, like, clear information on it, and so I just wanted more.
So in the story, I got the idea from what they said, what Bruce said to him on the phone, that um, him and his sister Suzanne are both psychic, and that's why he can hear the phone.
Is that why?
And
I didn't know he was also psychic. I thought it was just his sister.
no, that's what the story lays down. Is that like, oh, she's psychic, but so is he, but just not as strong. It's
Where how
like
did it I don't remember that, like, how did it say that, like,
it
what was he
implied it
doing?
because Bruce says that the phone rings, but
Rang,
not
but no one
everybody
else can
can.
hear it.
No
I was
one
wondering
else
why
can
it
hear
made
it.
him
Only
hit.
you could hear it,
Oh,
and
okay, okay. I was wondering why he was
that's
special.
them implying that he is somewhat psychic.
Okay, okay.
Um,
So that makes
and
sense.
then I think they kind of like they don't imply it as well in the movie, but with his sister being psychic, with his mother being psychic, he's probably psychic as well, but just not as strongly And like that's also a common theme among psychics and narration is that the girls are always stronger psychics. Except for
Yeah.
Danny in The Shining, he's insanely psychic.
Mm. Yeah. Uh, Wallace says that leaving out those details to calculate moves so you'll feel just like that you fill the blanks with your imagination or dread. I don't like that. If it is intentional, it's just because I don't mind filling in some things, but like without, I just wanted a little bit more. Like the phone came from somewhere, like why? Because it still didn't make sense. Like why was that there? And I guess in the short story, it kind of said like maybe someone lived here at some point. So like maybe it wasn't the phone at all. Like maybe the ghost just existed, and that was just the medium in which which they used to like make the calls or something.
I
But
don't think
even
the phone is supernatural itself. I don't. Like
that
I
it was
don't get that
just
impression
that it
from
was
either
just
this
it. It
no.
makes more sense if he is psychic, then he's the one that's doing it. But the grabber was also like hearing the rings though, like, and the dead kids were also saying like, oh, sometimes we mess with him and by
Because
calling.
the owl in is also psychic. Not as strong, and also he's insane, so he's not
I
picking
thought
up.
Insanity might be able to do how he was supposed to be psychic too. Why are there so many psychic people?
That's
How
it's a problem with Stephen King, and of course Joe Hill picked it up. Like
there's
everyone's got to be fucking psychic. Like
how did it make how is Al and the grabber? How is he psychic?
because he can hear the phone too.
Okay, just for this the sake of hearing it is the only that just makes me think,
Yeah.
like, what are the chances that you have all these psychics and stuff too?
It's a problem with Stephen King, and his son has picked it up that everyone is every one of your main characters, one of your bad characters, all the interesting characters are psychic. I hate it. It's his worst trope, and I hate the fact that Joe Hill picked it up because it's like it's not like I think the Black Phone, the movie, is pretty good because of the what the dead kids do and all that shit is really on like interesting. But like the obsession, absolute obsession with psychics is just it drives me crazy. It's like, oh, what's happening in this story? Oh, all this strange stuff is happening. Oh, and psychics always like every fucking time. It's like, dude, get a new trick, okay?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, that does make more sense that if Finney was just supposed to be psychic, that I can accept that because I was just like, what is special about this phone and why does it I mean, it's called the black phone, so I thought it would be more important. So I think I'm a little disappointed by that, but at least that makes more sense if it's just like, oh, he's got psychic powers that kind of helped him. And I like it makes sense. I like that they were trying to figure out or like trying to give him hints as far as how to kill the grabber, but I wonder why it had to be like what in that afterlife thing, like what causes them to like I can't be direct, like they also sounded kind of crazy too. So it's just like once you die and you're in whatever spirit realm, you don't remember your name, you're kind of crazy because they're like kind of cackling and stuff too. And um, but
Well, I
I
think it's something that I liked kind of about The Haunting of Hill House, the Netflix adaptation, is the ghosts are exist outside of time. And I
mhm.
like that idea. I really like that idea that they're not like a lot of people. They're like, oh, they're not held to physical ideas. You know, they could go through walls. They, you know, that kind of shit. They could fly, whatever. But the idea that they exist outside of time, that's a lot more interesting because of the some of the things, like I said, they said to him, but they were not actually saying those things to Finn. They were saying
Which
them to the grabber.
reminded me of
And
Hill House too, because that one point where
yeah.
the sister, after she dies, she's, like, talking out of sync to them, and so she's
Mhm.
and then later on, like, they catch up and, like, oh, like, now she's answering to what they're saying.
Yeah, exactly. I like that idea. I think it's really interesting. It's hard to write it, honestly, but I
Mhm.
think it's really good. And I feel like that the Black Phone was doing that to some extent because for one thing, like they knew that the dog was going to be down there with him when the final confrontation happened, and that's why he had to break into the freezer. They knew he needed the
Oh,
freaking
yeah.
code, like to the locker, like I mean, to the lock. I mean, there was a lot going on there that they like knew things how they were gonna play out.
Because
Not
'Cause they're
like
psychic too.
no, they're like they to me, I'm okay with the idea that someone can predict the future if they don't exist within
If
linear
they're
time.
yeah, yeah.
Then because that's not psychic quite so much.
So there's a loophole for you.
Yeah.
You're not
I mean,
existing in
people don't
time.
play
It's
with
okay.
time enough in narrative to me. That's so when they do, I
It's
appreciate
difficult. I mean, I think that's I mean, my boyfriend really sorry, G-man, my friend who is a boy, he really hate because they just do it I don't know, like that he just doesn't like when it's done in pretty much anything. Like he just always thinks that like it's done poorly and or very few that can actually do it well. Um, and I guess it depends. Like because if you I don't like when like whenever they say like, oh, this is a fixed point in time. I hate that where it's just like you can't change the future and you can't like blah, like but only this thing here. But like other things can change, but this one is fixed. Like, well, if other things can change, like how is that gonna so I don't think that adds up. I think I am interested in at least with past stuff. Like that's more open where it's like you change the past. Like how does that affect you in the future? Does it not? Because you always change it? Like you had to do this anyway to like keep it so everything's the same because you were always going to do this. So I think playing with the past like that one's more okay. But I hate the fixed point in time thing where at least as far as going in the future. Um, but who is it? Someone here said, Tree Surgeon said they should do a prequel based on the backstory of the phone. If the phone itself has any sort of like supernatural powers, then yes, I absolutely. I'm okay with Alex's explanation saying that Finney was himself just psychic and that was why it worked. But if that wasn't the intention, then I want more on this phone. Which they've done that with other things too. What like Annabelle from was it The Conjuring? Was that the series
Yeah.
where they did which I think that gets more hype than the series deserves. But I am interested. I like where like oh like here's this reference to something like in the movie like that's we can because it's just the world too like oh what's this story though so I am okay with like at least doing stories on topics like that.
So someone asked, Wallace Williams asked, was that Netflix version any good? The Haunting of
Of
Hill
Hill
House?
House.
Yes. Very
Yeah,
good. Very,
I
very
liked it.
good. Very amazing cinematography at times. Very interesting story play. Lots of like themes and ideas that are deep and interesting. Very good characterization. I very much enjoyed it. The Haunting of Bly Manor, not so much. I yeeted
I
out of
didn't
that one.
watch that one. Yeah, I kinda I don't know, I had an inkling that I'm like, this isn't going to be as good. That it just seemed I don't know, and it was I mean, they're both based off of actual books or stories or
Yes,
something, right?
The Haunting of Hill House is based on The Haunting of Hill House, which I have read. But it's not exactly the same. Like they change.
Mhm.
It's not supposed to be the same. It's not. It's like an alternate reality version of The Haunting of Hill
Okay.
House. Which it's like if you know that and you're going into that, and you're not expecting a real. It's not meant to be
It's
close
not a remake.
adaptation.
Okay.
It's pretty. It's doing its own thing. It's very good. And then Haunting of Bly Manor is based on a Henry James novel called what is
Oh,
that?
so it's a
The
different
Turn is
author
Screw.
too.
Yeah, Turn is Screw. Fucking hate that book, by the way. I had to read it in
Mm.
grad school. I hated it. I don't like Henry James. I think he's a shit writer. Um, but they made that one into a very like similarly not a close adaptation. They're doing their own thing. I was not interested. It did not land or excite my interest like at all.
I
But
think if
then
oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No,
Um,
if you're going to talk about Bly Manor.
yeah, I was just gonna say that, like, I didn't know anything about it, but it just seemed like, oh, it's coming out too close to like it it just seemed like they're trying to ride on the coattails of Hill House. So I had just suspicions that I'm like, oh, that if you're trying to shove this in, it may not be well written.
If I was going to choose a like riff off of Turn of Screw for what I would want to enjoy, it would be the Jennifer Crusoe novel, which I can't remember the name of, but she Wild at Heart or something like that. I'm gonna look it up. But uh, there was this. Someone also asked. what did they ask? Have I seen the Ethan Hawke's Predestination? No, I have seen a recap. It's called Maybe This Time. That's what it's called. But which is based on the Turn of the Screw. But Predestination, I have seen one of those YouTube movies explained, or not movies explained, movies recapped. And I remember watching it and going, what the fuck? How did anyone make this movie? And how did they convince Ethan Hawke to do it? You should watch a recap of that movie, and it's like of Predestination, and tell me what you think about this movie.
Shouldn't actually watch Predestination though.
Don't watch it.
So
Maybe
bad
bad movie night. Maybe bad movie.
Bad movie night. Okay.
Oh my god, it's so fucking weird. I don't know how they convinced Ethan Hawke to do it. Money. It must have been money. Maybe he needed to pay a bill or something.
Just spending too much money. Tax problems. Okay. All right. So bad movie night. Predestination. I will. I probably will. Like now though, especially being told not to watch it makes me want to watch it. I don't care how bad it is.
Yeah, I do. I actually do like watching those like bad movies recapped instead of watching the bad movie, because I'm like, do I want to spend 2 hours on this?
I know. That's why I always multitask on things too, which is why I miss things sometimes. But I'll have to like either pause or rewind when I'm like, oh, I need to like pay attention. But I'm working on like if I'm doing something else at the moment, then I'm like, I know that I'm not paying attention, so I need to back up. But yeah. I don't do recaps or reviews much, but I think I probably should. I just like to, if people say that I need to, I usually read stuff, I guess. Like I usually end up reading just synopses of things and whatever, Wikipedia summaries at the very least. If you like bad comedies, watch Me Time. Oh, is that the one? Is that on Netflix right now? I think I've seen it. It has which actor? He's black.
It's Tracy Morgan.
Is it really?
Maybe no.
I thought it was.
It's Kevin Hart. It's Kevin Hart.
Okay, they all look the same, right, Al?
Those two do. They're both short.
Is Tracy Morgan that short?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Kevin Hart definitely is. I think he's like 5'5" or something. Oh wait, what is this? It has what's his name? The dad from Resident Evil. Lance Reddick. I was opening up a tab and whatever the advertisement was, it has him wearing an FBI jacket. I don't know what show. Oh, it's Fringe. Okay. But it said based on my shopping stuff. I don't know why it says I was not shopping for anything for that. Don't know why I brought that up. Tracy Morgan is 5'9". So average. Exactly average. I looked up Tracy Morgan height, and then it says trivia. Who's taller than Tracy Morgan? Martin Lawrence, Tina Fey, Kevin Hart, Alec Baldwin. Definitely not. I know Tina Fey is 5'4". Kevin Hart, I think, is 5'5". Alec Baldwin, I would say, I don't know Martin Lawrence's height, but I'd say Alec Baldwin.
Maybe All You Zombies by Robert Heinlein is better than what Predestination appeared to be, because Predestination seems like a weird sex fever dream.
All You Zombies? Okay. All You Zombies. Well, just have a lot of movies for bad movie night.
All You Zombies is a short story by Robert Heinlein.
Oh, it's only a short story. Okay. I thought that was in that movie. Okay. Well, I'm tuckered out. That was a lot of. We did a lot more in Resident Evil, and I should have known that because I was like, I'm watching like 4 more movies plus the TV show that I want to like talk about. But so we did more. Not that I'm upset about that, but it was just like, yeah, we went for a while on there.
Yeah, we did.
This page isn't even loading when I was trying to answer the question. Oh, I guess I should I forgot to close the poll.
Oh, yeah, you did.
So I'm going to end poll. Wait, does dismiss poll mean end poll? Or
no,
does it just get rid of it?
Minimizes it.
Oh, that just gets rid. Okay, I have to go back to the
poll.
Other account.
I can end it.
Okay, yeah, go ahead and end it because I'm not logged in on the right account now.
All right, we're at
we got 50 votes. That's nice. And the question I'll say too, because we never read it out loud before.
no, we didn't.
It was, if you were in a viral outbreak that effectively turned people into zombies, would you A, hide away in a secure, oh wait, no, this is the out of order. That's just the winner. I remember the order I put it in was A, find a way to stop the virus, B, travel around killing the infected, C, hide away in a secure community, or D, be one of the first people infected. I had to like rewrite this because my answers were longer, and it's like, you can only have 36 characters. It's like, oh, okay. That was just had to shorten stuff. But and the winner was hide away in a secure community, which I was surprised about because more people earlier were saying that they would find a way to stop the virus. I think that was up to like 44% or something at the time, and hideaway was like 33 or something.
I said hideaway.
Me too, because I mean, it really depends. Like, I guess it depends on how the outbreak happened. Like, if you know, like there is like this was caused by something and there's a way to reverse it, like maybe I'd set out on a journey to try and do that. But most likely, if stuff goes down, we won't know what caused it. I think the best plan of action is to just like hole up somewhere, like in Attack on Titan, where they had like just the all the giant titans and stuff. You have this like big wall around it, which didn't ultimately work, but like uh that's what you would try to do, like where you have protection and everything though, and everyone's got guns and weapons and everything. So yes.
Oh, did you hear about all those bunkers in New Zealand?
No.
So the elite are building huge, expensive bunkers in New Zealand for the end of the world.
Oh, interesting.
And they're like super nice looking too. And then my problem with
they're
that,
nicer than my house.
yeah, they're huge. Well, and they're like luxury bunkers essentially. And my problem with this is that it's like, if the end of the world happens, you're not in New Zealand unless you literally are New Zealanders in New Zealand. So like, how are you going to get to New Zealand? It's like like if you're coming from the US alone, that's like that's a long
So it's
ass
just
flight.
not all New Zealand people. So it is just like around the world rich
Yeah,
people.
like elites
Okay.
from around the world.
Why New Zealand?
Because it's beautiful.
Okay. If the world is ending, I mean, like, it depends on how it ends, I guess. Might not be
But then,
beautiful forever.
yeah, it won't be. But like, yeah, the idea that they could get there, and then the idea that they could keep it, because it's like, oh, I'm sorry, like if things literally go so sideways that you need a bunker, your money isn't going to mean anything for hiring people to protect you. So
Yeah.
like literally someone's just gonna come up to your door and take it from you with firearms. Like I don't understand what their idea is. It seems like a stupid idea. Like they're just like, oh well, everyone has a luxury bunker now. Like like a house in the Hamptons. That's what it is.
Yeah. You have your luxury bunker in New Zealand. It's all the rage.
Yeah. Exactly. That's what it feels like to me.
That's hilarious and disconcerting, because what do they know that we don't? I mean, maybe they just know the same stuff, that like, hey, society's collapsing slowly.
Yeah. Well, and then also at the same time, they keep saying, a lot of the elites keep saying, oh, climate change, ocean levels are going to rise, but I keep buying oceanfront property.
Let's go underground too, and might be filling up with water. Okay, well, I think that's all I really have to say. Well, I always forget about doing housekeeping. So we've got nothing else for the rest of this week. On Monday, it looks like we're gonna have Elle on narrative dissonance. So she'll come join some bitch I know for that. Tuesday we will have a live 451 degrees, right?
Yep.
Wednesday will be a pre-recorded video of Rebel Civics. I think that one's we're doing like a Rebel Civics classroom. So Keith did a class with some different kids online, and should be a Dangerous Thoughts that night, and then TMR again on Thursday. Yep. And we've got book club Sunday, September 25th, Satanic versus I had it, and then I like started mixing it up with like again like savage management of savagery, Savage World. I don't know why. Every time, every single time. Oh, then I think satanic rituals too. Like so, it's just like a bunch of different like terms and names. Satanic Verses by Solomon Rushdie, 12 p.m. Eastern, September 25th. Then October 30th, Sunday, probably 12 p.m. Eastern. Slaughterhouse-Five. I'm getting by Kurt Vonnegut.
Who's the writer? Yeah.
Kurt Vonnegut.
Who wrote the Satanic Verses?
I said it's Solomon Rushdie.
Okay.
Because that one I always like to think of Salmon. His name is
Salmon.
And then I'm planning on a bad movie night on Sunday the 11th, on September 11th. At 9 p.m. Eastern in our Discord, and we're gonna watch They Them. Is the plan?
God, that Kevin Bacon movie.
Yeah, so it's about a serial killer at a trans conversion camp. I think is the plot. So I have no idea. I have no more knowledge than that. So I think we're gonna watch that because G-Man was like, we shouldn't do it this weekend because it's a holiday. I don't know. G-Man says, "Holy fuck, Beverly, be professional." Never. I look professional to you. This is my profession. But yeah, so we're gonna do, and because of G-Man, so we're not doing it this Sunday, September 4th. I think it's gonna be September 11th. And is that everything? I can't think of anything else. Upcoming
Play
stuff.
the clip.
Like just no content. Play the clip.
Cool it down, 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 my pretty. Bad, bad bitch. Make the bad, bad glitchy. Fine, 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 fine.
What we should do is we should play that randomly at some point during every TMR. That's I vote for that.
I agree. I 100% agree. And then if there are other things that Carter says that are hilarious, then we'll clip those too.
Yes, definitely.
But okay. Let me make sure. Is there anything else in chat that it has the same flaws as John Galt's Island Trees? Oh, about the New Zealand. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just gonna build my own bunker. Got the land. GB says this gets funnier every single time with the clip.
What is? It's hilarious.
Bad bitch. Fine. Fine.
I want him to do other ones.
I know. Yeah, he won't though. I think Carter replaced my old credits with his new one. I can't end yet because I need to re-upload my end credits because I know it doesn't have all the new things, but I refuse. So we're gonna keep talking here for a moment.
Okay.
Until I'm upset. Why did he delete it? I'm gonna play the clip again just because he deleted it as I upload this end credits. Wait, it's not even showing up for me on my. Oh wait, oh there it is. Okay, my internet's probably gonna go down.
He does need to do WAP again. He needs to do WAP.
Okay, I'm gonna play this again.
Cool it down, 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 my pretty. Bad, bad bitch. Make the bad, bad glitchy. Fine, 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 fine.
Did he do WAP before?
I don't think he did.
Oh, okay. All right. I thought they said they'd do it again. I know my internet's gonna be really slow. So, Alex, what do you got going on now? Sorry, I need to. This is uploading slowly.
All right. I will talk about what I'm doing because I never talk about my channel.
Yeah. Go for it.
Okay, so tomorrow night is The Evil Within, and then Saturday night is Destiny 2, Season of Plunder. Sunday is Warframe. Monday, on Labor Day, I'm doing a members only stream of Shadow Warrior on my channel. Not the old Shadow Warrior, but the first Shadow Warrior game from the trilogy. And then Monday night we've got Destiny 2 again.
Which one is The Evil Within?
The Evil Within is this nearly black and white horror game where you're both running around an asylum and running around a forest. And
Is it supernatural
it
or just psychological?
It's psychologically supernatural. Like, I don't think anything that's happening in the game is really happening. I think it's in the main character's head.
But it
That's what I
seems
think.
supernatural. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. What's as far as supernatural horror, even ones that seem supernatural, what's your suggestion for a game for me to play?
Alan Wake's not bad.
My old roommate, he used to play that too. I think that looked pretty spooky. Okay. I'm
But
I'm still
yeah.
working on getting more space for, like, I did move, or I'm in the process of moving all my Steam games onto my SD card because it's was saying in Discord where I'm like, it's filling up too much. Like, was it Dead by Daylight was like 30 gigabytes. I think Left 4 Dead was like 14. Maybe Earth Defense Force was like 20 some or something like these. This is just too much. You're gonna take up like a quarter of my limited storage.
I'm trying to think of all the horror games I played for Fright Friday. I know I played Alan Wake, played BioShock,
Right.
which is sci-fi horror.
Yeah, I've seen. Wait, is it? I mean, I've seen the second one. Is that where they have?
Yeah,
Is BioShock the one with like the little girl and the giant robot thing?
oh, you're talking
Is
about
that?
BioShock 2, which no one
It is
likes.
too. Oh, no one
Yeah.
likes it. Okay, I just remember seeing like stuff about, yeah, like
And
clips
then
of it or something.
yeah, Dead Space. Dead Space is
I
another
have played
sci-fi
that.
horror.
That one
Yeah,
was, yeah.
I beat that game.
I only played it once.
I liked it. I mean, oh, Alien Isolation, another sci-fi horror game. I played mostly sci-fi horror, apparently.
Okay, I see. I
But
like supernatural. Like, I want more like ghost stuff though. Like that one's more spooky to play. That's why I was really sad about PT.
do you want like more? So you want more PT walking simulator horror games?
Something that just makes it, yeah, like ghost stuff rather than like not aliens and not. I mean, I like zombie stuff too, but like I want something that's going to be like, here's this like spooky
Yeah, then
ghost or demon.
you want walking simulator horror games then, probably.
Okay. I don't know. Yeah, sounds right.
If you're talking about like PT spin-offs, that's what those are. PT created its own genre. And it's not even a thing you can get.
I know. Well, yeah. I played the thing that they had, and I thought that was really cool. Like, it was creepy and stuff, but I was so sad that they never finished. Like, actually did it. All right, I will look up walking simulators then.
Yeah, like Layers of Fear is a pretty good one.
And we need to do. I mean, I know we've been talking about in Discord, but doing like a gaming night or something again too, with like other one. Among Us, I think was one.
Among Us.
And
like I said that everyone in the game needs to have a version of Beverly's. Just to make it really confusing.
Yeah, because I liked. Were you the one who posted the video or something too, or
I did the video.
Or it had the like me.
Yeah, H2O Delirious.
Myself.
So funny.
Yeah.
Me, like everyone had like pronouns or essentially or non proper nouns for their character names in Among Us. So like he's me, and then one guy was named someone else was named me who, and someone was named that guy. So he says, me saw who next to someone, and now me saw who and someone next to that guy, and now that guy is dead.
Yeah, so it was super complicated, and I've never played Among Us. I don't really know. I mean, I gather like the basic idea, but yeah, I think I'd be interested. So join our Discord. Well, where we're going to try and do stuff in there. And I just found out we have some people on locals that we never use. So people are subscribed. If you're subscribed on locals, come join us in Discord or hang out over here.
Yes, we'll give you the Discord link if you reach out to us.
Yes. Which I think Carter said that they should already have it, but like if you haven't done that or don't know it, but yeah, like come hang out in Discord. That's where we do bad movie nights. We're going to do more game stuff. Johnny Boyce asks, are there any open world horror games? Ooh, I am interested in that too. Tree Surgeon also says, I think Beverly would like the game Madison. I don't know that one. So open world horror. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but
I would love that though. It
And
seems like when you
this.
have horror, you need to kind of have it more in a certain area, unless like zombie stuff might be better. But when it's like here's a ghost haunting a house, though, like you can't go open. Like let me just go I'm gonna go grocery shopping and then come back to my haunted house.
The Evil Within 2 is open world?
Ooh.
What? That's weird, because the first one is very linear. Oh, Metro Exodus. I guess I would, if I was going to choose, like, the Stalker games, but, like, oh, The Forest. Yeah, everyone fucking played that. Oh, Subnautica. I don't know that I would count Subnautica. They put that as number 1. No, but, like, yeah, if I was going to choose something to probably play in that genre, I would probably choose Metro Exodus for open world horror.
Friday the 13th on NES was open world horror, says G-Man. I didn't even know that was a game. Okay, well, we can talk more video game stuff later too, but the credits are done. So I'm still gonna play these old
your credits.
Yeah. Carter. Oh, hopefully it's the right ones. I don't even know. There's a version of my credits. So well, thank you, Alex, and thank you, chat, and everyone else who's watching this later. We will you guys rewind to watch for any sort of housekeeping notes. But, we already said them earlier. And then I lost everything. It's a good thing we're ending it now too. My internet's getting bogged down. I had to switch from Starlink because earlier, I don't know, my upload speed might have been fine, but like it was hard for me to hear you. Like it was getting like splotchy. So I put my other internet back, which slows down at different times. So yay, figuring it out. Okay, well, thank you guys. I need to go check on these geese and ducks and stuff too. So have a great night. We will see you next week on Narrative Dissonance on Monday. Bye.
Thanks for sticking around until the end. If you're new to Unsafe Space, check out our deep content library that includes discussions with everyone from James Lindsay to Brett Weinstein. And please consider helping to fund our work by visiting unsafespace.com/donate. You can find us on a variety of social media platforms, and you can find a community of like-minded individuals on our Unsafe Space Discord server, which is open to financial supporters at any level. We hope to see you there.
Warning. This is an unsafe space. Dangerous ideas have been detected. The content of this production is known by the state of California to cause unregulated ideation that may be harmful to bureaucrats. Association with the following individuals or tacos is strictly prohibited. Apropos of nothing, I was just wondering how would you feel about another pandemic? Your president is in full control of his mental faculties. If you think about it, no one should be allowed to express opinions. But don't. Think about it, I mean. That's not your job. Thinking has been scientifically proven to be less efficient than compliance. Science, scientific, and scientifically are registered trademarks of the World Economic Forum. Unauthorized use is prohibited. Computer voice courtesy. Never mind, that last line is fake news. Please disregard it and return to your safe space immediately. There will be cake.
One more thing I forgot to say with the poll. I didn't think about, or I forgot to mention about how be one of the first people infected. I liked how people were honest about that too, though, because like, let's face it, A lot of us are just going to end up being the first people infected here because that's just going to be what happens. Someone's got to be infected. My thought is
7 people voted for that.
yeah, well, my thought was like, I am in the middle of nowhere, so I might be able to survive enough that like I'm not going to be in the first round, that I might be able to get a community because there's less people. But I just wanted to say thank you to those people who are like, yep, I'm not going to make it. I'm going to get hit first. But, okay, goodbye.